Chapter 540. Are there any guests that have entered the arena to battle the Earth Bear? In the cage battle arena, the old man confirmed once more. Half-step advanced Earth force that draws support from the energy of the Earth? The strength of 6,800 ancient mammoths. Slightly interesting. Duan Lingtian calmed his surging feelings from the red Luan's blood, and the corners of his mouth curled into a thought-provoking arc. In the next moment, swoosh. Duan Lingtian left his seat and seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning that shot towards the enormous iron cage that enveloped the entire cage battle arena. In the sky, 6,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. Squeak squeak, the little gold mouse stayed on her seat and looked excitedly at Duan Lingtian, who dashed towards the cage battle arena, as if she was cheering for Duan Lingtian. Fourth level of the void prying stage. The expression of the nearby young prince of Prince Sheng's estate, Jianghu, who was filled with rage and hatred, was extremely unsightly. Never had he imagined that the young man he'd ridiculed earlier would actually possess such a terrifying strength. Most importantly, the age of this young man was obviously a few years younger than him. Based on his age, he's only around the age of 25. His cultivation is at the 4th level of the void prying stage? Who exactly is he? The crowd of spectators in the spectating area Duan Lingtian was at were all curious. He came with the crazy young master. Could it be that he's from the Dragon and Phoenix Academy? In the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, there seems to be only the former 7-star sword sect's genius disciple, Duan Lingtian. Could it be that he's Duan Lingtian? It's possible. Besides Duan Lingtian, how could our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom have such a monstrous genius martial artist? In next to no time, the spectators guessed Duan Lingtian's identity amidst their discussions. Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian. Along with the passage of time, practically all the tens of thousands of spectators in the entire cage battle arena knew that the young man that entered the arena was Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, the former genius disciple of the 7-star sword sect. A few years ago he'd once defeated the Saber young master Long Yun and Zither young master Zi Shang, and his name shook the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Later on, when the 7-star sword sect was annihilated, Duan Lingtian entered the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, and he revealed natural talent and comprehension ability that was even more monstrous than the rumors. From then on, Duan Lingtian had become a legend in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Now, Duan Lingtian wanted to enter the cage battle arena and battle the Earth Bear? For a moment, their hearts were filled with anticipation. Is that Duan Lingtian? Zhang Heng's face darkened. Although he had been traveling outside for many years, he had only recently returned. However, the name of Duan Lingtian resounded like thunder in their ears. Duan Lingtian was a peerless genius that suddenly rose abruptly a few years ago, and as soon as he rose abruptly, he seemed to have suppressed the limelight of the 5 great young masters of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. He was called the unprecedented genius martial artist of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. The old man that stood behind Zhang Heng had a serious expression. When Duan Lingtian arrived outside the enormous iron cage, the worker of the cage battle arena moved forward with reverence and opened the door that led to the cage battle arena. From the beginning until the end, Duan Lingtian watched with a calm expression. In the next moment, whirlwind, Duan Lingtian's figure flashed out, and he seemed to have transformed into a gale that flashed into the death arena. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian stood in midair, and he calmly looked at the Earth Bear that was beneath the old man's feet. Roar! The Earth Bear seemed to know why Duan Lingtian had come, and its scarlet-red eyes revealed icy coldness. Not only that. Bang, 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 bang. The Earth Bear continued to struggle beneath the old man's feet, and the origin energy on its body and half-step advanced Earth force shot out, causing the entire cage battle arena to shake. Duan Lingtian. The old man that was in charge of presiding over the cage battle arena looked at Duan Lingtian, and his eyes revealed slight surprise. The peerless genius of the former 7-star sword sect really deserves his reputation. But, are you sure you want to enter into a cage battle with the Earth Bear? After all, with your natural talent and strength, it isn't difficult to win one of the 5 positions to head to the Darkstone Empire in the genius competition half a month from now. If I was you, I would surely not take the risk. The old man spoke word by word. His words seemed to have the intention of persuading Duan Lingtian. Thank you for your concerns, senior. But I've already decided. Duan Lingtian smiled lightly in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Very good. The old man nodded. Since you've already decided, then it would seem to be slightly annoying if this old man were to say anything more. Prepare yourself, I'll leave the earth bare in 10 breaths of time. At that time only one of you can survive. Duan Lingtian nodded. The time of 10 breaths of time couldn't be considered to be long. However, at this moment the crowd of spectators in the spectating area had instead held their breaths. After a short moment, they once again went into an uproar. Duan Lingtian is too rash. Yeah, his future is limitless. Why take the risk in the cage battle arena? Although I heard he's comprehended 2 types of half-step advanced force, he's only 200 ancient mammoths stronger than the earth bear that's able to draw support from the energy of the earth. Not only is the earth bear able to draw support from the energy of the earth, it even possesses extremely tough fur. If it's combined with the energy of the earth, it's able to form an extremely terrifying defense. I hope he's able to kill the earth bear and escape this calamity. Otherwise, our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom will lose a pillar of support. The hearts of many spectators rose to their throats for Duan Lingtian. As far as they were concerned, Duan Lingtian's situation was extremely bad. Overestimating your ability. Zhang Heng sneered, and his eyes contained slight ridicule mixed within. Daring to enter into a cage battle with the earth bear, he's simply courting death. No matter if he's courting death or not, is still better than some people. Some people might not even have the courage to enter the arena and battle the earth bear. Qin Shaoshui spoke indifferently as he ridiculed. His words weren't courteous in the slightest. Just like Luo Zhan, he didn't take Zhang Heng seriously. What did you say? Zhang Heng's face went grim, and the origin energy on his body roiled as if he wanted to attack Qin Shaoshui. Whereas Qin Shaoshui wasn't worried in the slightest, and he had a calm expression. His eyes instead flickered with a fierce sheen. His gaze was like a sword, ready to shoot out at any moment. Young prince. Zhang Heng had just wanted to leave his seat when he was stopped by the old man behind him. Elder Ping, what are you doing? Zhang Heng's expression was unsightly to the extreme as he asked with a low voice. The old man paid no attention to Zhang Heng, and instead looked at Qin Shaoshui with a burning gaze. If I'm not wrong, you ought to be the sword young master, right? Qin Shaoshui's gaze that was like a sword swept past the old man, and he said indifferently, the members of Prince Sheng's estate aren't simple as expected. At this moment, Qin Shaoshui had undoubtedly admitted his identity. Sword young master? After Zhang Heng heard the old man by his side, his face went grim. Now that he heard Qin Shaoshui confirm it, he only felt his back go cold. He felt a wave of powerlessness and shame in his heart. These 3 fellows that he didn't take seriously earlier actually caused fear to arise from the bottom of his heart now. This feeling caused him to feel extremely uncomfortable. 10 breaths of time is up. Right at this moment, a sonorous voice sounded out from the cage battle arena. Subsequently, the spectators present were able to clearly see it. The old man that was originally standing on the back of the earth bear with the intention of restraining the earth bear soared up into the sky. Roar! After the old man left, the earth bear recovered its freedom and roared explosively, and its bloody and fierce eyes stared fixedly at Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian stood in the sky with a calm expression. Bang! Finally the earth bear moved. Its enormous body abruptly took large strides forward, and its thick bare paws fiercely descended onto the ground. Rumble. The ground quaked and the mountains swayed. Whoosh. The earth bear abruptly raised one of its paws, and origin energy condensed on its sharp claws as half-step advanced earth force suffused it. In the sky, 6,500 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form and accumulated force while waiting to attack. Instantly. Along with the earth bear's claw flashing out, the vast and boundless origin energy instantly transformed into a material claw that flashed directly towards Duan Lingtian. It seemed as if it wanted to tear Duan Lingtian into pieces. Duan Lingtian looked at the scene before him with a calm gaze, and he didn't have any intention of dodging. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian made a move. Tempest Point. With a raise of his hand, Duan Lingtian pointed out with his finger. Swish. The finger force condensed into form from origin energy was accompanied by half-step advanced wind force and half-step advanced lightning force as it swept out. In the sky, 7,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. The Tempest Point descended like a meteor, and it descended towards the origin energy claw print. Bang! The Tempest Point easily shattered the origin energy claw, and it didn't lose momentum in the slightest as it descended and blasted onto the earth bear. Roar! Practically at the instant the Tempest Point shattered the origin energy claw, a layer of material origin energy light barrier appeared on the surface of the earth bear's body. Not only that, the half-step advanced Earth force followed like a shadow on the origin energy light barrier. Besides that, the Earth Bear even borrowed the energy of the Earth. In the sky above the Earth Bear, another 300 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared beside the 6,500 ancient mammoth silhouettes. It was precisely the strength bestowed to the Earth Bear by the energy of the Earth. Bang! At the same time, the Tempest Point blasted onto the Earth Bear and shattered the origin energy light barrier on the surface of the Earth Bear's body. The finger force dispersed along with it. On the other hand, the Earth Bear's body only swayed slightly, and it wasn't injured in the slightest. What a strong defense. Duan Lingtian's brows raised. The battle between Duan Lingtian and the Earth Bear had only occurred in the blink of an eye. However, merely a single move had caused the atmosphere of the scene to be stirred up. Today, the atmosphere in the cage battle arena had practically arrived at its peak at this moment. Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian. Many spectators cried out Duan Lingtian's name with sharp voices. Of course, some people were happy and some were worried. This Duan Lingtian is actually really as the rumors say, and he has comprehended two types of half-step advanced force. Zhang Heng's expression was unsightly to the extreme, and strands of flames of envy leaped about in the depths of his eyes. He's a few years younger than me. On what basis does he have such high comprehension ability? Zhang Heng's heart was slightly warped, and he was extremely unwilling. He felt that his natural talent and comprehension ability could already be considered to be not bad, and it was even to the extent that it wasn't much inferior to the 5 great young masters. However, before Duan Lingtian he seemed to be extremely ordinary. Chapter 541. Looks like even if it's Duan Lingtian, it wouldn't be an easy matter to defeat this Earth Bear. Crazy young master Luo Zhan sighed. Yeah. I never imagined that the Earth Bear's defense would actually be so terrifying. Sword young master Qin Shao Shuai deeply agreed. In the sky above the cage battle arena, the old man that was in charge of presiding over the cage battle arena revealed slight astonishment in his eyes. This Duan Lingtian is really as terrifying as the rumors say. At such a young age, his cultivation has stepped into the 4th level of the void prying stage, and he's even comprehended 2 types of half-step advanced force. It's truly shocking. The old man's heart shook. Roar. Although Duan Lingtian's Tempest Point wasn't able to injure the Earth Bear, it had succeeded in infuriating it. The Earth Bear raised its head to look at Duan Lingtian and emitted an extremely enraged roar. Its scarlet red eyes didn't contain any feelings. Bang. Under the gazes of everyone present, the Earth Bear's 4 paws abruptly pushed off from the ground, and its body that was enormous like a mountain charged into the sky. Whoosh. Although the Earth Bear's body was enormous, its speed wasn't slow in the slightest, and it seemed to have transformed into an enormous cannonball that fiercely smashed towards Duan Lingtian. Its pair of sharp fangs even flickered with a ghastly sheen. It seemed as if it was capable of penetrating everything. It could be imagined. If Duan Lingtian was struck by the Earth Bear's fangs, his body would surely be pierced with 2 hideous bloody holes. Oomph. When faced with the Earth Bear's pair of fangs that were suffused with half-step advanced Earth force and raging origin energy, Duan Lingtian's gaze went slightly cold, and he wasn't afraid in the slightest. Whirlwind. Duan Lingtian's body moved with the wind, and accompanied by a wave of muffled thunder, he moved to intercept the Earth Bear. The Earth Bear has left the ground, and it's equivalent to giving up the advantage of Earth force, and it's unable to rely on the energy of the Earth any longer. Duan Lingtian knew clearly in his heart. Once the Earth Bear left the ground, it was equivalent to giving up the strength of 300 ancient mammoths. Now it was charging towards them. In the sky, there were only 6,500 ancient mammoth silhouettes charging over. Tempest Finger. Duan Lingtian reached out with both hands, pointing 2 fingers at the Earth Bear's fangs. Whoosh, whoosh. The Tempest Point coiled around Duan Lingtian's 2 fingers, and as if it had the help of the gods, it intended to clash head-on with the Earth Bear's fangs. Roar. The Earth Bear once again let out a furious roar, and on its body the elemental energy light barrier reappeared. Along with this, half-step advanced Earth force had appeared as well. Obviously, it wanted to repeat the same trick and block Duan Lingtian's Tempest Point. Do you think you'll be as lucky as before? A sneer appeared on the corners of Duan Lingtian's mouth. As he pointed out with 2 fingers, the Tempest Point that was coiled within it suddenly started to tremble intensely. The frequency of his trembling became faster and faster. Extreme tremor power. Earlier, if I used quake energy to the limit, then the defensive light barrier you activated with the strength of 6,800 ancient mammoths might not even be able to withstand it. Let alone now. Disdain arose in Duan Lingtian's heart. Disdain towards the Earth Bear. The terror of extreme tremor power was something only he and those that had personally experienced it knew clearly. Boom, boom. The frequency of the tempest points trembling rose to the limit. Finally, Duan Lingtian's two fingers collided with the Earth Bear's pair of fangs. As far as outsiders were concerned, the sizes of Duan Lingtian and the Earth Bear were utterly unable to be compared. The length of the Earth Bear's fangs was comparable to Duan Lingtian's height. Has this Duan Lingtian gone mad? Many spectators couldn't help but shake their heads when they saw Duan Lingtian wanting to clash head-on with the Earth Bear that was charging over. All of them felt that Duan Lingtian was overestimating his ability. This fellow Duan Lingtian is really a madman. Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshui glanced at each other, and both of them could see the shock in each other's eyes. You're courting death. The corners of Heng's mouth revealed a wisp of a ridiculing smile that was filled with delight when he saw this scene. At this moment he seemed to have already seen the scene of Duan Lingtian's body being penetrated by the Earth Bear's pair of fangs. Bang, bang. Two ear-piercing sounds suddenly sounded out, and it entered into the ears of everyone in the cage battle arena. How could this be possible? He actually broke through the Earth Bear's defense. Waves of shocked voices sounded out in the cage battle arena. They rose and fell. In the sky above the cage battle arena, Duan Lingtian's two fingers pointed out, and the two tempest points actually directly broke the Earth Bear's pair of fangs. Not only that, everyone clearly saw it. Along with Duan Lingtian's two fingers continuing forward, the Earth Bear's pair of fangs shattered into pieces before transforming into nothingness in the end. Boom, boom. In next to no time, Duan Lingtian's two fingers fiercely pierced into the Earth Bear's head. Ow! The Earth Bear emitted a wave of deafening shrill cries, and its enormous body started trembling intensely. Crack, crack, crack. The clear sound of bones cracking and shattering sounded out without end. The Earth Bear's sorrowful roars gradually became softer before completely vanishing in the end. Under the gazes of everyone present, the Earth Bear's scarlet-red eyes stared wide open as its enormous body crashed down, fiercely smashing onto the cage battle arena. Subsequently, the ground in the cage battle arena shook. The Earth Bear had completely lost all signs of life. Dead. The surroundings of the cage battle arena were deathly silent. The gazes of everyone occasionally descended onto the enormous body of the dead Earth Bear, and occasionally descended onto the sky above the cage battle arena. In the sky above the cage battle arena, a violet-clothed young man stood proudly in the sky. Drip, drip. Drops of dazzling fresh blood slowly dripped down from the index fingers of his hands that were casually placed by his side. That was the blood of the Earth Bear. At this moment, everyone present felt a chill run down their spines. How did he do it? In the sky above the cage battle arena, the old man that was in charge of presiding over the cage battle arena was completely dumbstruck. The scene from before was something that even he hadn't expected. He originally thought that even if the Earth Bear didn't rely on the energy of the Earth, Duan Lingtian would surely be unable to break through its defense. But the facts proved that he'd overestimated the Earth Bear. No. It should be said that he'd underestimated Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian's strength had exceeded his imagination. Freak. Luo Zhan's hand that held the armrest of his chair trembled, and the armrest was forcefully broken by him. Freak. Qin Shaoshui's figure stiffened. Even though the two of them were filled with confidence towards Duan Lingtian since the beginning. But after they saw the terrifying defense of the Earth Bear, they were slightly lacking confidence and doubtful. They doubted if Duan Lingtian would really be able to kill the Earth Bear and win this cage battle. The facts proved that they'd thought too much. To Duan Lingtian the Earth Bear was nothing. No. Impossible. How could this be possible? Heng ceaselessly shook his head, unwilling to believe that the scene before his eyes was real. The strength of this Duan Lingtian was actually so terrifying. The Earth Bear was actually like a piece of paper before him. It was unbelievable. As expected of a figure that's capable of suppressing the 5 great young masters, he's really not simple. The old man behind Heng gasped, and his eyes that looked at Duan Lingtian were filled with fear. Duan Lingtian has won. I bet on Duan Lingtian I've made a killing this time. F***K. I was wondering how formidable that Earth Bear was, but I never imagined that Duan Lingtian would kill it the second time he made a move. To think that I even bet so much money on it. I almost bet on the Earth Bear as well. In the crowd of spectators, some were happy while some were sad. Of course, even more people stood up excitedly and cheered for Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian amazing. As expected of the most monstrous genius martial artist in the history of our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, his reputation is well deserved. The Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom having Duan Tian is truly the fortune of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. The crowd of spectators weren't stingy with their praises in the slightest. Yet Duan Tian didn't care about all this. What he cared about was the Red Luan's blood. It was the mysterious blood that the old man that presided over the cage battle spoke of. Senior. Duan Tian looked at the old man who was still in a daze and took the initiative to remind him. The old man recovered from his shock and glanced at Duan Tian with a complicated gaze, then he raised his hand and passed the drop of fiery red blood to Duan Tian. Duan Tian, congratulations. Thank you, senior. Duan Tian received the drop of fiery red blood and put it away in his spatial ring as if he'd obtained a precious treasure. He tried hard to suppress the excitement in his heart. After he obtained the Red Luan's blood, Duan Tian left the cage battle arena and returned to his seat. Everywhere he passed, the crowd of spectators saluted with their gazes. Only Zhang Heng's expression was extremely gloomy, and a vicious sheen flashed within his eyes from time to time. Squeak squeak, the little gold mouse transformed into a golden light that descended onto Duan Tian's shoulder when she saw Duan Tian return, and she was incomparably overjoyed. She seemed to be happy that Duan Tian had won this cage battle. Duan Tian, you're really skilled. That Earth Bear's defensive strength was so terrifying, yet it was directly broken by you. Luo Zhan sighed with emotion. Looks like you still held back when sparring with us. Qin Xiao Shuai glanced deeply at Duan Tian. Duan Tian smiled lightly and didn't say anything. Now, his thoughts were completely on the drop of Red Luan's blood. The Red Luan's blood could be refined into a rebirth pill. As for the rebirth pill, it was an extremely overbearing medicinal pill. A single drop of Red Luan's blood could only refine a single rebirth pill. During Emperor Wu's first lifetime, he consumed the rebirth pill, and only then was he able to possess the strength to look down upon the numerous Emperor Wus of Cloud Continent. Most importantly, consuming the rebirth pill doesn't have any restrictions on one's cultivation. Duan Tian took a deep breath and his feelings surged to the extreme. If I'm able to successfully refine the rebirth pill before the martial competition of the 10 dynasties begins and consume it, why would I have to worry about being unable to compete with the young geniuses of the various dynasties? Duan Tian's eyes were suffused with a burning sheen that was filled with yearning. In the cage battle arena, the cage battles continued. Numerous fierce beasts, demon beasts, and slaves entered the arena successively, and they either killed each other or fought with the people that entered the arena, causing it to be peerlessly brilliant. Amongst them there was a third-level void-prying stage slave that entered the arena. Sword Young Master Qin Xiao Shuai entered the arena to fight. Presently, Sword Young Master's cultivation had already broken through to the third level of the void-prying stage, and he was only slightly inferior to Duan Tian and Crazy Young Master. Although he was unable to utilize a spirit weapon, the 3-foot-long sword light condensed from Sword Young Master's sword finger combined with the half-step advanced sword force he'd comprehended was all-powerful. The third-level void-prying stage slave was killed by him in a single move. Chapter 542. This Sword Young Master is even stronger than that Crazy Young Master? Heng's pupils constricted. Because when Crazy Young Master attacked Heng earlier, he'd only utilized a cultivation at the second level of the void-prying stage. So, Heng determined that Luo Zhan's cultivation was inferior to Sword Young Master. At the same time, Heng didn't forget to mock Crazy Young Master. Head of the 5 great young masters? You're even inferior to Sword Young Master. You have an undeserved reputation. Heng's words caused Duan Tian and Qin Xiao Shuai to be unable to help but be stunned. After that, the two of them smiled as they glanced at Luo Zhan. Ah, Crazy Young Master, did you hear that? You're inferior to me. Qin Xiao Shuai spoke with slight complacency. I'm inferior to you? Do you want to try? Battle intent leaped about in Luo Zhan's eyes as he spoke indifferently. Qin Xiao Shuai rolled his eyes angrily at Luo Zhan when he heard this. If you want to try, then try it with Duan Tian. You're at least 2 years older than me, and your cultivation surpasses mine. Is it something to be proud of? Time silently flowed by. In next to no time, a 4th-level void-prying stage slave entered the arena. This time, Luo Zhan impatiently left his seat. This caused Duan Tian and Qin Xiao Shuai to be unable to help but look at each other and smile. They were able to discern. As Crazy Young Master, the head of the 5 great young masters, Luo Zhan had his own arrogance. Now he wanted to fiercely slap Heng's face with his actions. He wanted Heng to know his true strength. When Heng saw Luo Zhan dashing out and the 6,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes that dashed out along with him, he was dumbstruck. He actually concealed his cultivation? Heng's expression was unsightly, and he suddenly felt like a clown earlier. Only the crowd of spectators in the spectating area weren't surprised. Crazy Young Master was the head of the 5 great young masters of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom after all. Presently, Sword Young Master had already broken through to the 3rd level of the Void Prying stage, so it wasn't surprising that Crazy Young Master had broken through to the 4th level of the Void Prying stage. Crazy Young Master. Crazy Young Master. The crowd of spectators in the surroundings of the arena stood up excitedly and shouted out loudly. As the head of the 5 great masters, Crazy Young Master, the number of people who admired him was innumerable. Meanwhile, Luo Zhan walked into the cage battle arena. The eyes of the 4th level Void Prying stage slave in the cage battle arena were suffused with boundless scarlet red when he saw Luo Zhan standing opposite him. Crazy Young Master, I will kill you. The slave's voice was hoarse and filled with ruthlessness. It was like a demon beast that had opened its bloody mouth and was about to devour someone. That depends on whether you have the ability or not. Luo Zhan said lightly, not caring about the slave's words at all. Suddenly, the slave shouted out explosively as his figure flashed like the wind, and he seemed to have transformed into an eagle that pounced towards Luo Zhan. Whoosh, whoosh. Both of his hands formed into claws, and the shadows of the claws filled the sky, slowly stirring up the wind, and fiercely falling towards Luo Zhan. It was as if he wanted to tear Luo Zhan in half. When this slave attacked, the claw shadows that filled the sky were mixed with strands of faint green energy besides the raging Yuan Li. In the sky, 6,200 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. The 4th level of the Void Prying stage. Elementary wind force. The claws moved with the wind at an astonishing speed. Of course, this speed was only towards ordinary martial artists. In Luo Zhan's eyes, the speed of this slave was nothing. Bang! With a raise of his hand, Luo Zhan's origin energy skyrocketed as he punched out. On Luo Zhan's fist, a strand of condensed origin energy pierced out along with his fist, and it seemed to have transformed into a 7-foot-long spear light. Luo Zhan precisely used a spear. Now that he was unable to use a spirit weapon spear, he couldn't avoid revealing the characteristics of a spear when he attacked. Whoosh! Luo Zhan's fist blasted out in a perfectly straight manner, and it was like a worm leaving its lair. Whereas on the 7-foot-long spear light that flashed out from his fist, strands of ghastly red-colored energy appeared, and it was suffused with traces of a scorching aura. Fire force. In the sky, beside the 6,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes, there were another 500 ancient mammoth silhouettes. Obviously, Luo Zhan, Crazy Young Master, had already comprehended half-step advanced fire force. In terms of strength, Luo Zhan completely crushed the 4th level Void Prying stage slave. After exchanging blows in succession, Luo Zhan seemed as if he possessed the help of the gods as he smashed out with his fist, and the 7-foot-long spear light flashed out to penetrate the slave's chest, causing blood to spray out. Bang! The slave's corpse fell down and was completely devoid of any signs of life. Luo Zhan victory. Instantly, a wave of cheers arose in the surroundings of the cage battle arena as expected. I knew Crazy Young Master wouldn't lose. Even though the payout for Crazy Young Master's victory isn't high, I still earned quite a bit by betting my entire fortune on Crazy Young Master. As expected of the leader of the 5 great young masters of our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, his reputation is well deserved. Crazy Young Master, amazing. The crowd of spectators in the spectating area were extremely excited. Besides some spectators that wanted to be an upset, so long as the remaining spectators participated in the bet, they placed their bets on Crazy Young Master in this cage battle. All of them profited greatly. The reward Luo Zhan obtained was a weapon refinement material that could be considered to be precious. But to Duan Lingtian, this weapon refinement material could only be considered to be precious in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Not to mention the foreign lands, even if it was in the entire Dark Han dynasty, it would probably not be considered to be a rare thing. But Luo Zhan seemed as if he'd obtained a precious treasure. When Luo Zhan returned, he intentionally paused on the way and glanced at Zhang Heng with disdain. I wonder if young prince has the intention of entering the cage battle arena to battle a person with an undeserved reputation like me? You. Zhang Heng's face went grim as he pointed at Luo Zhan, and his entire body started trembling, yet he just happened to be unable to refute. How could he dare enter the cage battle arena with Luo Zhan? What a joke. Not to mention Luo Zhan's true cultivation was at the 4th level of the void prying stage. Even if Luo Zhan was only a 2nd level void prying stage martial artist, he wasn't someone he could go against. Coward. Luo Zhan slowly spat out these 2 words before returning to the side of Duan Lingtian and Qin Shaoshuai. Zhang Heng was angered to the point he almost exploded. Duan Lingtian and Qin Shaoshuai couldn't help but laugh when they saw this scene. They didn't have a good impression of Zhang Heng. On the cage battle arena, the caged battles continued. This slave has a natural bearing. Looks like before he was reduced to a slave, he wasn't an ordinary person. Suddenly, Qin Shaoshuai looked at the slave that appeared in the cage battle arena and spoke with slight surprise. Indeed. This person's background is surely extraordinary. Luo Zhan nodded as well as he spoke. What the 2 of them said caused Duan Lingtian to be unable to refrain from looking over curiously. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian's pupils constricted abruptly. In the cage battle arena, the slave with a slightly tall figure stood there. This was a young slave with disheveled hair that hung loosely on his shoulders, a pair of lifeless eyes, and the brand that belonged to a slave on his face was obvious. On the brand was the word, Song. Slap. Duan Lingtian's hand trembled, and the armrest of his chair was directly broken by him. Duan Lingtian, what's wrong? Meanwhile, Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshuai noticed that something was wrong with Duan Lingtian. They noticed. Duan Lingtian's gaze was staring fixedly at the slave, and his face revealed an excited expression that had lost his composure. Duan Lingtian, you know him? Qin Shaoshuai was stunned and asked. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded, and his body lightly trembled as he was excited to the limit. He never imagined that he would be able to see him here. Right at this moment, a wave of ridicule sounded out. It was Zhang Heng who'd heard the conversation between Duan Lingtian and said with ridicule, I truly never imagined that you, Duan Lingtian, would have such a trash slave as a friend. Birds of a feather really do flock together. Trash slave? Zhang Heng's words were like a fuse that completely lit up Duan Lingtian's flames of rage. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian instantly stood up from his seat. Bang! Because of the strength exerted by his legs, he forcefully cracked the floor tiles. The rage of Duan Lingtian could be seen from this. Whoosh! In an instant, Duan Lingtian seemed to have transformed into a gust of wind and arrived in front of Zhang Heng. Duan Lingtian's hand stretched out like lightning, and before Zhang Heng could react, he grabbed his neck like an eagle grabbing a chick and lifted him up forcefully. I dare you to say that again. Duan Lingtian's eyes were bloodshot and filled with murderous intent, as if he was about to devour someone. At this moment, Duan Lingtian seemed to have transformed into a bloodthirsty beast. His entire being was completely deranged. Zhang Heng was dumbfounded. He never imagined that his words would cause Duan Lingtian to have such a reaction. What did he say wrong? At this moment, Zhang Heng's neck was being choked by Duan Lingtian. He wanted to resist, but as soon as his elemental energy rose, it was suppressed by Duan Lingtian's elemental energy. Zhang Heng's face gradually flushed red. Elder Ping, save me. Zhang Heng asked the old man by his side for help. Meanwhile, the old man recovered from his shock, and his face went grim as he shouted with a grim voice. Duan Lingtian, put down the young prince. Otherwise, don't blame this old man for not showing mercy. However, Duan Lingtian seemed as if he didn't hear the old man at all, and he paid no attention to the old man. Listen carefully. He's not a trash slave. Duan Lingtian's bloodshot eyes were beautiful and evil as he spoke word by word. Now, no matter if it was Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshuai who rushed over or Zhang Heng and the old man by Zhang Heng's side, they finally understood why Duan Lingtian would be so agitated. It turned out that Duan Lingtian was because of the way Zhang Heng addressed that slave in the cage battle arena. Duan Lingtian, I don't care what relationship you have with that slave, but if you dare do anything to the young prince, then that slave will die for sure. The old man threatened with a cold voice. What did you say? Duan Lingtian slowly turned around to look at the old man, and the killing intent on his body shot into the sky and couldn't be any stronger. The old man was enveloped by Duan Lingtian's killing intent, and he felt a chill run down his spine. It was difficult for him to imagine. Where did such a young man get such terrifying killing intent from? But he still took a deep breath and said in a low voice, I said, if you still don't let go of the young prince, then that slave will die for sure. Little Gold. Duan Lingtian suddenly shouted with a grim voice. I want him dead. I want him dead. Duan Lingtian's voice didn't conceal it in the slightest. and it clearly spread throughout the entire cage battle arena. It drew the gazes of everyone. Subsequently, everyone present only saw a golden light flash out, and it was accompanied by an extremely fine sword light that flashed past, in the next moment. The throat of the old man that was still holding his head high a moment ago split open. Ear-piercing fresh blood sprayed out. Chapter 543. Silence. Deathly silent silence. The entire cage battle arena was perfectly silent. The gazes of everyone converged onto the same place, the spectating area at the south. There, an old man lay in a pool of blood, and he was completely devoid of life. What's going on? Many people didn't see clearly what had happened. Only some people in the south spectating area knew the sequence of events. Squeak squeak, a gold figure slowly descend onto Duan Lingtian's shoulder. It was precisely the little gold mouse. Presently the little gold mouse held a pocket-sized spirit sword in her hand, and drops of blood dripped down from it, dazzling and resplendent. The group of people in the south spectating area couldn't help but gasp. The one that killed the old man earlier was this little gold mouse? Before this, they'd seen the crazy young master Luo Zhan, who sat in the spectating area at the front, enter into conflict with the old man that was killed. At that time, the old man revealed a cultivation at the 9th level of the void prying stage. At that time, they knew that the old man was a member of Prince Sheng's estate. Whereas the young man in embroidered clothes by the old man's side was the young prince of Prince Sheng's estate, Zhang Heng. Earlier, the scene of Duan Lingtian suddenly making a move to choke Zhang Heng's neck and lift him up had already caused them to be dumbstruck. Later on, they found out that the reason Duan Lingtian made a move was because Zhang Heng had insulted the slave in the death arena. Duan Lingtian seemed to know that slave. Moreover, based on Duan Lingtian's current loss of composure, the slave's relationship with him obviously wasn't shallow. The most unbelievable thing to them was the death of the old man from Prince Sheng's estate. Duan Lingtian shouted out explosively. Subsequently the old man died. What demon beast is this? Too terrifying. I utterly didn't see clearly how many ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form in the sky at the instant it made a move. It attacked too quickly, I didn't see clearly as well. I truly never imagined that such a harmless-looking little gold mouse would actually possess such a terrifying strength. This little gold mouse is obviously a powerful demonic beast. It's even to the extent that it might be a void initiation stage demon beast. In the southern spectator stands, a single stone stirred up 1,000 ripples, completely stirring up a commotion. On the other hand, the news of Duan Lingtian possessing a void initiation stage demon beast by his side spread out and spread throughout the entire cage battle arena. For a moment, most people looked at Duan Lingtian with eyes full of awe. You dare to kill Elder Ping? A hoarse voice came from Zhang Heng, who was lifted up by the neck by Duan Lingtian. If you say another word, I'll kill you too. Duan Lingtian's scarlet eyes stared at Zhang Heng, causing Zhang Heng to shut his mouth, and a look of fear appeared on his face. At this time, Duan Lingtian's hairband had been broken at an unknown time. His long hair fluttered in the wind. Just by standing there he gave off an invisible sense of oppression. Trash. Duan Lingtian looked at Zhang Heng and spat out 2 words in disdain. Following that he threw Zhang Heng out with force. Bang. Zhang Heng fell to the ground in a sorry state and fell flat on his face. You. Zhang Heng struggled to stand up, and he was angered to the point his eyes went crimson red, yet he didn't dare say anything and hurriedly soared into the sky to leave the spectating area. No one knew where he went. Duan Lingtian couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him, and he brought along the little gold mouse to walk step by step towards the cage battle arena. At this moment, the gazes of most people present had converged onto Duan Lingtian, and their gazes followed Duan Lingtian as he moved step by step. Duan Lingtian seemed as if he'd been bewitched. Let's follow him and take a look. Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshui glanced at each other before following up with slight worry. After a short moment, Duan Lingtian arrived outside the enormous iron cage in the cage battle arena. Open it. Duan Lingtian's icy cold gaze descended onto the nearby worker that was in charge of opening the iron cage. But even though this worker was afraid of Duan Lingtian, he didn't dare act rashly. Because he knew that if he opened the iron cage without permission, then he would surely be unable to escape the punishment of the cage battle arena. Little gold. Duan Lingtian's face sank slightly as he shouted out coldly. This cold shout caused the expression of the worker in the cage battle arena to go pale. Earlier, before the old man from Prince Sheng's estate died, Duan Lingtian had precisely called out this name. He was in charge of opening the iron cage on the side of the southern spectating area, and he'd clearly seen the scene from before. Swish! The little gold mouse on Duan Lingtian's shoulder moved. An exceedingly swift sword light flashed by, and the little gold mouse's figure stopped moving. On the other hand, a door was forcefully cut open on the iron cage before Duan Lingtian, and it was able to accommodate Duan Lingtian's entry and exit. Even though the iron cage that enveloped the cage battle arena was made from Millennium Dark Iron and was capable of imprisoning void-prying stage martial artists and demon beasts that didn't possess spirit weapons to rely on. But once a void-prying stage martial artist or demon beast utilized a spirit weapon, they would similarly be able to destroy this iron cage made from Millennium Dark Iron. At this moment, only the sound of Duan Lingtian's footsteps could be heard in the quiet cage battle arena. His heavy footsteps walked step by step into the cage battle arena. In the cage battle arena, the gaze of the slave with disheveled hair descended onto Duan Lingtian. Even though his face under his disheveled hair was slightly dirty, it was unable to conceal his heroic spirit. As this slave stood there, he faintly revealed a trace of an extraordinary bearing. This 7th-level nascent soul stage slave obviously had an extraordinary background. Finally, the slave opened his mouth and spoke. Duan? Junior brother Duan Lingtian. The slave's voice was hoarse and excited. Senior brother Zheng Song. Duan Lingtian took a few steps forward and opened his arms to embrace the slave, and his eyes were suffused with crimson red. Zheng Song. Exactly. The slave that stood before Duan Lingtian now was none other than Duan Lingtian. It was precisely the son of the former 7-star sword sect's Mizar Peak's master, Zheng Fan, and the inner court disciple that had a good relationship with Duan Lingtian, Zheng Song. Good. Zheng Song tightly embraced Duan Lingtian, and his body started trembling intensely as he was indescribably excited. Senior brother Zheng Song, you didn't die. Duan Lingtian's voice was filled with excitement. Meanwhile, Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshui who followed up roughly guessed Zheng Song's identity. A person that was able to be called senior brother by Duan Lingtian was most probably a former 7-star sword sect disciple. Moreover, based on Zheng Song's bearing, he obviously had an extraordinary background. That slave is called junior brother Duan Lingtian? Duan Lingtian called him senior brother? Meanwhile, some spectators with comparatively higher cultivations heard the conversation between Duan Lingtian and Zheng Song. No wonder Duan Lingtian is so furious, so it turns out that this slave is his senior brother. Looks like that slave is a former 7-star sword sect disciple. In next to no time, many people guessed Zheng Song's origins. Senior brother Zheng Song, let's go. I'll bring you to find a place to wash up and change your clothes. Duan Lingtian grabbed Zheng Song's hand with the intention of bringing him away. Zheng Song, the son of the Mizar Peak's master Zheng Fan. In the past, Zheng Fan had given him no lack of help. Zheng Fan had similarly given him a great deal of help, and he'd even risked his life to escort him away when the 7-star sword sect was annihilated. This friendship was something he would never forget in his lifetime. Today, when he saw Zheng Song didn't die, he was inexplicably excited in his heart. Junior brother Duan Lingtian. I'm only a slave now. Zheng Song had a bitter expression as he slowly said, this cage battle arena is an estate under the name of the Prince Sheng's estate, and it's inextricably linked with the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial family. Don't offend the Prince Sheng's estate for me. I've already offended them earlier. It doesn't matter. Duan Lingtian shrugged with an indifferent expression as he pulled Zheng Song along and turned around, intending to leave. Duan Lingtian. Finally, in the sky above the cage battle arena, the old man that was in charge of presiding over the cage battle arena recovered from his shock, and he shouted out with a grim voice to stop Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian raised his head to look at the old man with a calm gaze. Senior, this is my senior brother, a disciple of the 7-star sword sect. I want to take him away today, and you ought to not obstruct me, right? Presumptuous. The old man shouted out coldly. Duan Lingtian, what do you take our cage battle arena for? I don't care what identity he had before, but since he's become a slave of our cage battle arena, then he's a member of the cage battle arena in life, and a ghost of the cage battle arena in death. Earlier, you killed a revered elder of our Prince Sheng's estate, and someone from our Prince Sheng's estate will naturally look for you for an explanation. But at this moment, it's impossible for you to take away a slave of our cage battle arena. As the old man spoke, the origin energy on his body raged. A terrifying imposing aura swept out. Whoosh! Two enormous figures condensed into form in the sky above the old man, and they coiled down. It was precisely two ancient horned dragon silhouettes. First level of the void initiation stage. Instantly, the expressions of Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshui who followed behind Duanling Tian went grim. They never imagined that this old man that was in charge of presiding over the cage battle arena actually possessed such a terrifying strength. Although the 9th level of the void prying stage was only a step away from the first level of the void initiation stage. But in terms of strength, it was like the difference between the heavens and the earth. When compared to the 9th level of the void prying stage, besides the origin energy in the body undergoing a qualitative change, the first level of the void initiation stage had even completely comprehended concept. Concept was the extension and transformation of force, and it wasn't something that force could compare to. Even if it was the highest level of force, the advanced force, it was only comparable to the strength of 2,000 ancient mammoths. Whereas even if it was the lowest level of concept, the first level of concept, it was comparable to the strength of an ancient horned dragon. The strength of a single horned dragon was the strength of 10,000 ancient mammoths. First level concept was a few times stronger than advanced force. Within the cage battle arena, the atmosphere was tense and would erupt at any moment. Junior brother Duanling Tian leave? The current you is unable to win against the cage battle arena, and you're unable to win against Prince Sheng's estate. Zheng Song laughed bitterly. Even though he really wanted to leave and really wanted to escape this life that was worse than death. But if it would harm Duanling Tian because of this, he would rather maintain the current situation. Senior brother Zheng Song, no matter what, I'll take you away today. No matter who it is, don't even think of stopping me. Those that stop me die. Duanling Tian's gaze went icy cold as he spoke with a cold voice. Duanling Tian's voice wasn't soft, and it entered into the ears of everyone present. These words were peerlessly overbearing, and it caused the hot blood of many people to boil. This was a true iron-blooded man. Heroic spirit that shot into the clouds. Right at this moment, the old man in the cage battle arena didn't have the time to speak. What high-sounding sentiments. Chapter 544. In an instant, the gazes of everyone present turned toward the source of the voice. Over there, two people were flying over. A gray-clothed old man and a brocade-clothed youth. That cold snort just now was clearly from this gray-robed old man. Sir Steward. The gray-robed old man appeared, and the old man in charge of the battle bowed respectfully. Manager? Instantly, the spectating area in the surroundings of the cage battle arena was in an uproar. He's the manager of the cage battle arena? I've never seen him appear before. I didn't expect him to appear in person today. A group of spectators discussed animatedly. Duanling Tian raised his head and glanced at the gray-robed old man indifferently. He could not be bothered with him and walked out with Zheng Song. This scene caused everyone present to tremble with fear. This Duanling Tian still dares to do as he pleases after the appearance of the manager of the cage battle arena? Was he really not afraid of death? How dare you? Right at this moment, the young man in embroidered clothes by the side of the gray-clothed old man looked down at Duanling Tian and shouted with a grim voice. Duanling Tian, do you really think that because you're a student of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, our Prince Sheng's estate wouldn't dare touch you? You have to understand that the Dragon and Phoenix Academy was established by the Imperial family. And the relationship between the Imperial family and our Prince Sheng Manor is even more closely connected. If you know what's good for you, leave this slave behind and kowtow to me 10 times. Perhaps I will spare your life. The young man in embroidered clothes was none other than Zhang Heng, whom Duanling Tian had strangled earlier. He was also the little prince of Prince Sheng's residence. 10 kowtows? Duanling Tian's body stiffened as he looked up at the young man, as if to confirm something. Yes, 10 kowtows. If you don't kowtow these 10 kowtows, I'll let you die without a burial place. Zhang Heng stood beside the gray-robed old man, who was also the manager of the arena, and used his connections to intimidate others. At this moment, when the crowd of spectators in the surroundings of the cage battle arena looked at Duanling Tian, their eyes contained slight pity. In their opinion, today, if Duanling Tian didn't do as the young prince of Prince Sheng's estate said, it would be difficult for him to escape this calamity. It was just as the young prince of Prince Sheng's mansion had said. The Dragon Phoenix Academy Duanling Tian was currently relying on was nothing more than an academy established by the imperial family. It was impossible for the royal family to punish a clan member for the sake of a dead genius. Luo Zhan took a step forward and looked at Zhang Heng. His gaze was extremely cold. Only he knew that Duan Lingtian didn't only have the Dragon Phoenix Academy to rely on. He believed it. If his grandfather was here, he would have gone berserk and killed Jianghu. He was extremely clear about Duan Lingtian's position in his grandfather's heart. Even to the extent that his grandfather was able to become a grade 5 weapons craftsman a few months ago, it was all thanks to Duan Lingtian. To his grandfather, Duan Lingtian was a teacher he respected the most. Now, Prince Sheng's residence was targeting Duan Lingtian, using their power to suppress him. One could imagine. If he were to stand idly by, then he would surely be beaten to death by his grandfather when he returned. Crazy young master, this is a matter between our Prince Sheng's estate and Duan Lingtian. Please don't interfere. The manager of the cage battle arena glanced indifferently at Luo Zhan. There was slight fear in the depths of his gaze. After all, behind Luo Zhan was a colossus that the Prince Sheng's estate couldn't afford to offend. Luo Zhan grunted coldly, and he just opened his mouth when he was interrupted by Duan Lingtian via voice transmission. Luo Zhan, don't interfere in this matter. These were Duan Lingtian's exact words. Luo Zhan was stunned. When he saw the confidence that Duan Lingtian's eyes revealed, even though he didn't know what Duan Lingtian wanted to do, he didn't say anything further. Whereas when Luo Zhan's reaction entered into the eyes of the people present, it caused many people to sigh with emotion. Looks like the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Crazy Young Master isn't very good. Yeah, if Crazy Young Master interferes, then Duan Lingtian would be able to easily escape this calamity. Now Duan Lingtian is surely sighing with emotion in his heart that he's not careful in making friends, right? Many spectators whispered in discussion. Luo Zhan was slightly embarrassed when he heard these words. Is it because I'm unwilling to help Duan Lingtian? Besides Duan Lingtian and Luo Zhan, only the sword young master Qin Shaoshui had discerned some clues. He couldn't be any clearer about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Luo Zhan. Luo Zhan suddenly stopping his outburst caused him to realize that the matter wasn't so simple. Ah! Jianghu stood in the sky as he laughed arrogantly. Duan Lingtian, do you see this? This is your friend. Quickly kowtow. 10 kowtows in exchange for your worthless life. Duan Lingtian looked at Jianghu with a calm expression, and he was carefree. Duan Lingtian, didn't you hear what the young prince said? The gray-clothed old man by Jianghu's side, the manager of the cage battle arena, swept out with an imposing aura that enveloped Duan Lingtian. He wanted to bend Duan Lingtian's backbone. But Duan Lingtian stood there without moving like a mountain, and he remained unmoved. The gray-clothed old man shouted lightly as his imposing aura rose abruptly. Origin energy raged like flames on his body. In the sky, 3 enormous silhouettes condensed into form, and they were 3 ancient horned dragon silhouettes, second level of the void initiation stage. All of a sudden, many of the spectators gasped. The manager of the cage battle arena was a second-level void initiation stage expert. For a time, many people glanced at the people at the cage battle arena, then looked at Duan Lingtian, and they couldn't help but shake their heads and sigh. There were 2 void initiation stage experts at the cage battle arena. There seemed to only be a single void initiation stage demon beast at Duan Lingtian's side. Idiot! Duan Lingtian's gaze swept past the manager of the cage battle arena and Jianghu as he indifferently spat out 2 words. Senior brother Zheng Song, let's go. Duan Lingtian continued to lead Zheng Song out. This scene caused many people to feel their scalps go numb. Has this Duan Lingtian gone mad? He's treating 2 great void initiation stage experts as nothing and really thinks they don't dare touch him? You're courting death. The manager's face went grim as he swooped down like a rock that had unfolded its wings that covered the sky, and he pounced towards Duan Lingtian. When he approached the iron cage in the sky above the cage battle arena, he raised his hand and actually directly tore the iron cage apart. The strength of a void initiation stage expert was clearly displayed. The corners of Jianghu's mouth curled into a cold smile as he looked at the scene before him. It was as if he'd seen the scene of Duan Lingtian being killed. Little gold. Right at this moment, Duan Lingtian shouted out coldly. Squeak. Instantly, a sharp cry resounded out in the entire cage battle arena. Subsequently, everyone present saw it. The origin energy on the manager's body raged, and when he approached Duan Lingtian, his body suddenly stopped, and the origin energy on his body dispersed completely. People that observed carefully were able to notice that the eyes of the manager were dim and without light at this moment. His entire body revealed a state of being in a daze. It was at this moment that Yi Zichen's eyes widened. Swish. A sword light that was swift to the extreme flashed before vanishing. Bang. Everyone present only reacted to what had happened when the manager's body fell to the ground while blood sprayed out violently. The gazes of everyone present swept past the manager that was killed before descending onto the little gold mouse that stood in the sky, and they felt a chill run down their spines. Drip, drip. The pocket spirit sword in the little gold mouse's hand was slowly dripping with gorgeous and resplendent fresh blood. That was the blood of the manager. It was as if this scene was telling everyone, don't worry. So what if you're at the second level of the void initiation stage? I'll kill you all the same. Squeak squeak. After killing the manager, the little gold mouse transformed into a golden light that descended onto Duan Lingtian's shoulder, and she cried out a few times as if she was asking for credit. Meanwhile, everyone present reacted to what had happened, and their faces went pale. Firstly, it was Zheng Song who was by Duan Lingtian's side. Zheng Song looked at the little gold mouse that was almost within reach, and he felt a chill run down his spine. Such a harmless-looking little fellow actually possessed such a terrifying strength. Killing a second-level void initiation stage expert was as simple as killing a chicken. Sword young master, did you see it clearly? Luo Zhan looked at Qin Xiao Shuai and asked via voice transmission. Qin Xiao Shuai's expression was slightly stiff as he nodded. The actions of the manager of the cage battle arena earlier were no different than the actions of the first leader of the bandits. But isn't that Duan Ling Tian's demonic technique? Luo Zhan and Qin Xiao Shuai clearly saw the scene of the manager being in a daze before he was killed. At that moment, the manager wasn't on guard at all. If they were able to make a move at that moment, then the manager would die for sure. Not to mention the little gold mouse that was stronger than them. What a terrifying demon beast. Not long ago, a 9th-level void prying stage martial artist was killed by it. Now, a second-level void initiation stage expert is similarly unable to escape death before it. Where did Duan Ling Tian obtain this demon beast? If I possess such a demon beast, then wouldn't I be able to do whatever I want? Stop dreaming. Do you think that demon beast would be willing to follow you with that little bit of natural talent and strength of yours? The spectating area in the surroundings of the cage battle arena was bustling once again. The old man that was in charge of presiding over the cage battle arena stood in the sky with a shivering body, and his expression was ghastly pale to the extreme. The manager of their cage battle arena was an existence that was even stronger than him. In the blink of an eye, he was killed by the little gold mouse by Duan Lingtian's side? At this moment, his heart was filled with terror. Even a second-level void initiation stage expert had died at the hands of the little gold mouse, let alone a first-level void initiation stage expert like him. No. Impossible. How could this be possible? In the sky above the cage battle arena, Zhang Heng ceaselessly shook his head and was unwilling to believe that all this was true. Zhang Heng. Right at this moment, a cold shout sounded out and jolted Zhang Heng awake, causing Zhang Heng's face to go grim. I'll return the words you said earlier to you. 10 kowtows in exchange for your life. Otherwise you'll die for sure. Duan Lingtian looked at Zhang Heng with an extremely icy cold gaze as he spoke word by word. Zhang Heng's body trembled when he heard this. Ask me to kowtow and beg for mercy? His body abruptly trembled as he swept the tens of thousands of spectators in the surroundings of the cage battle arena with his gaze. His pride didn't allow him to do this. I'll give you 10 breaths of time to consider. After 10 breaths of time, if you don't kneel before me and kowtow and beg for mercy, then I'll surely kill you. Duan Lingtian's voice contained icy cold killing intent mixed within. Squeak squeak. On the other hand, the little gold mouse that stood on Duan Lingtian's shoulder looked at Zhang Heng now and cried out a few times, seeming to be cheering for Duan Lingtian. The little gold mouse's cry caused the old man that was in charge of presiding over the cage battle arena that intended to interfere stopped moving. Chapter 545. This little gold mouse was even capable of killing a second-level void initiation stage expert, let alone him? Even though he was a member of Prince Sheng's estate, he had the responsibility to protect the young prince. But when he thought of the consequences, he was afraid. He was afraid of following in the footsteps of the manager of the cage battle arena. There's still 7 breaths of time. Duan Lingtian slowly spoke out, and his voice seemed to transform into a talisman that hastened Zhang Heng's life, causing Zhang Heng's face to go grim. You kill him, kill them. Zhang Heng looked at the old man that presided over the cage battle arena with a fierce gaze as he shouted out with a grim voice. The old man laughed bitterly. Kill Duan Lingtian? Did he have the strength? When he saw Duan Lingtian's gaze sweep over, the old man took a deep breath and made a decision. From today onwards, I've officially left Prince Sheng's estate and become a free man. The old man spoke slowly. As soon as he finished speaking, he transformed into a flowing light that vanished before the eyes of everyone. This scene was unexpected by most of the people present. The Void Initiation Stage expert of the cage battle arena fled? Many people guessed the thoughts in the old man's heart at this moment. They could imagine. Today, if the old man made a move against Duan Lingtian, then he would die for sure. After all, even the manager of the cage battle arena, an existence at the second level of the Void Initiation Stage, had died at the hands of the demon beast by Duan Lingtian's side. As a first-level Void Initiation Stage martial artist, how could he possibly succeed? Whereas once the old man stood by idly and allowed the young prince, Jianghu, to be humiliated, he would surely have no place in Prince Sheng's estate. So he made the best choice: leave Prince Sheng's estate. In this way he wouldn't be stuck in the middle and be in a difficult position. The old man's departure caused Jianghu's face to be livid. There's still 3 breaths of time. Duan Lingtian's cold and indifferent voice sounded out in a timely manner. It caused Jianghu's heart to tremble greatly. The approach of death caused him to feel despair. Before death, he suddenly felt that dignity seemed to be unimportant. Only surviving was the most important. Duan Lingtian, I'll surely return today's humiliation 100 times, 1,000 times in the future. Jianghu roared furiously in his heart. However, his body still fell to the ground and knelt in front of Duan Lingtian. His head hit the ground hard. Dong. He kowtowed. Dong. 2 kowtows. Dong. Dong. After a total of 10 kowtows, Jianghu gritted his teeth and finished. After kowtowing, Jianghu stood up, stepped into the air, and disappeared into the clouds in the blink of an eye. He didn't want to stay here for even a moment longer. After Jianghu left, the sounds of booing in the surroundings of the cage battle arena rose and fell without end. What an eye-opener today. When faced with the threat of death, the little prince of Prince Sheng's mansion resolutely kowtowed 10 times. Prince Sheng Manor has really lost a lot of face this time. Everyone in the audience knew that it wouldn't be long before today's matter would spread throughout the entire imperial city. Senior brother Zheng Song, let's go. Duan Lingtian smiled at Zheng Song and left with him. This time there was no one that obstructed him. The group of workers in the cage battle arena stared blankly at Duan Lingtian as he left with Zheng Song, and they didn't dare make a single sound. What a joke. Before this, Duan Lingtian, the strongest manager and vice manager of their cage battle arena, had either died or fled. How could they dare offend Duan Lingtian? Duan Lingtian led the way in front. Zheng Song followed closely behind, and his gaze was extremely complicated. He never imagined that in less than 3 years of time, the little fellow from all those years ago had already grown to such an extent. There was even an extremely formidable existence that seemed to be a Void Initiation Stage demon beast by Duan Lingtian's side. With Duan Lingtian here, why would my 7-star sword sect worry about not prospering? Zheng Song's eyes were filled with burning desire. Luo Zhan and Qin Shao Shui followed at the back, and their expressions were extremely complicated. Squeak squeak, after leaving the cage battle arena, the little gold mouse that was originally in high spirits suddenly lay down on Duan Lingtian's shoulder, and she weakly sent a voice transmission. Big brother Lingtian, I'm going to sleep. Okay, you go rest. Duan Lingtian replied. He knew that executing the soul skill, Soul Shaker, and combining it with the spirit sword in her hand to kill the manager of the cage battle arena had practically emptied the little gold mouse's spiritual force. Earlier she'd always been forcefully holding on. After all, she still had to deter the old man that was in charge of presiding over the cage battle arena. Although that old man was inferior to the manager of the cage battle arena, he was still a first-level Void Initiation Stage expert. The little gold mouse that was unable to execute her soul skill, Soul Shaker, wasn't a match for him. Presently, the little gold mouse's cultivation had improved a step further compared to before, and she'd broken through to the 8th level of the Void Prying stage. Moreover, her spiritual force had broken through to the 2nd level of the Void Initiation Stage along with this. So long as a 2nd-level Void Initiation Stage martial artist wasn't an inscription master, the martial artist's mind would be affected by her soul skill, Soul Shaker. Fortunately, that old fellow didn't notice. Otherwise, it wouldn't be easy to deal with today. Earlier, if the old man that presided over the cage battle arena wasn't afraid and directly made a move, it would be impossible for Little Gold to stop him. After all, Little Gold's spiritual force had already been completely exhausted when she executed her soul skill, Soul Shaker, against the manager of the cage battle arena. She could only wait for half a month before being able to execute her soul skill, Soul Shaker, once more. If she didn't possess her soul skill, Soul Shaker, it would be impossible for her to be a match for a void initiation stage martial artist. Even if she possessed a grade 4 spirit sword. So, when he thought up to here, Duan Ling Tian felt slightly fortunate. In next to no time, Duan Ling Tian found an inn. He asked Jing Song to wash up. Whereas he instead sat in the guest room of the inn with Luo Zhan and Chen Xiaoshui as they chatted. Duan Ling Tian, that's... Luo Zhan looked at Duan Ling Tian and asked curiously. He was rather curious towards Jing Song's specific identity. Up until now, he only knew that Jing Song was a 7-star sword sect disciple. He's the son of our 7-star sword sect's Mizar Peak's master, and he's always had a good relationship with me. That day, when our 7-star sword sect was annihilated, I originally thought that he was killed by the members of the Azure Forest Trisect. Yet I never imagined that I would be able to see him again in the Imperial City. Duan Lingtian's eyes flickered with cold lights. Now it would seem that it was the members of the Azure Forest Trisect that humiliated him and reduced him to a slave. The Azure Forest Trisect has indeed gone slightly too far. Luo Zhan frowned. A warrior can be killed but not humiliated. I presume that Jing Song didn't have a good time during these past 2 years. He's already been reduced to a slave, how could he possibly have a good time? Duan Lingtian spoke with a low voice. Those fellows have indeed gone too far. Looks like I should find a time to make a statement and completely cut off all ties with the Azure Forest Trisect. Chen Xiaoshui grunted coldly. Even though he didn't admit that he was a disciple of the Azure Forest Trisect since the moment the Origin Convergence sect merged into the Azure Forest Trisect. But not many outsiders knew of it. After all, he hadn't made a statement. I wonder if any of the remaining 7-star sword sect disciples are lucky enough to survive. Duan Lingtian took a deep breath, and his eyes revealed slight worry. Junior brother Duan Lingtian. In next to no time, Jing Song finished washing up and came out. He wore a mask on half of his face and it covered the slave brand. Senior brother Jing Song, I'll help you remove the brand on your face later. I'm confident that I'll be able to make your face recover to its original state. Duan Lingtian said to Jing Song. Presently he was already a grade 4 alchemist. He was able to refine numerous healing medicinal pills that healed skin injuries, and amongst them was a grade 4 medicinal pill that was even able to allow skin to regrow perfectly. No need. However, Jing Song instead refused Duan Lingtian's good intentions. No need? Jing Song's words caused Duan Lingtian to be stunned. Luo Zhan and Chen Xiaoshui felt disbelief towards Jing Song's answer. There are people that like to live with a slave brand? No need for now, Jing Song said with a low voice. I don't want to touch it before the Azure Forest Trisect is annihilated. It's my humiliation, my lifetime's humiliation. I want it to remind me at all times to not forget the enmity of the sect. Jing Song's tone was extremely heavy. It caused the atmosphere at the scene to become slightly oppressive. I understand. Duan Lingtian nodded and then he said, once the Azure Forest Trisect is annihilated and the 7-star sword sect is rebuilt, I'll help senior brother Jing Song remove the slave brand on your face. Thank you, junior brother Duan Lingtian. Jing Song nodded. Subsequently, Duan Lingtian introduced Luo Zhan and Chen Xiaoshui to Jing Song. Luo Zhan was fine as Jing Song greeted him in a friendly manner. But Chen Xiaoshui? You're the sword young master? A member of the Origin Convergence sect? Jing Song looked at Chen Xiaoshui, and rage and hostility appeared on his face. The Origin Convergence sect was one of the main culprits that annihilated the 7-star sword sect. Jing Song, after the Azure Forest Trisect appeared, it meant that the Origin Convergence sect didn't exist any longer, and I'm no longer a member of the Origin Convergence sect. I disdain to be associated with the Azure Forest Trisect. Chen Xiaoshui explained. Meanwhile, Jing Song's expression eased up. Senior brother Jing Song, how did you survive? What exactly happened after I was sent away that day? Why did Xiaoming join the Azure Forest Trisect? Duan Lingtian looked at Jing Song and asked curiously. He had too many questions in his heart towards what happened that day. At that time, besides Xiaoming, practically all the higher-ups of our 7-star sword sect had died. Not many 7-star sword sect disciples remained. Amongst them, even though the 7-star sword sect disciples including me survived, they were placed under house arrest by the Azure Forest Trisect. After an unknown period of time, we were branded with a slave brand and reduced to slaves. Later on we were sent to the cage battle arena. When he spoke up to hear, Jing Song's body started trembling, and his face was filled with boundless resentment. Besides me, some of the senior brothers that were lucky enough to survive were killed in the cage battle arena. Only I survived with great difficulty all the way. Slap. Duan Lingtian's face sank, and under his extreme rage, he abruptly raised his hand and smashed the table beside him into pieces. The entire table shattered into pieces, causing wood shavings to swirl in the air. Ching. Len. Sen. Sect. Duan Lingtian gnashed his teeth as killing intent flickered within his eyes. Originally, after you left that day, so long as Elder Peng returned, the experts of our 7-star sword sect might not be unable to persist until the end and survive. But because of Zhao Ming's betrayal, it caused all the experts of our 7-star sword sect to die not long after you left. Zheng Song said with a low voice. Zhao Ming first launched a sneak attack on Elder Xian and joined forces with the members of the Azure Forest Trisect to kill Elder Xian. After that, he joined forces with the members of the Azure Forest Trisect to attack the sect leader and kill the sect leader. Chapter 546. What? Duan Lingtian was stunned. Elder Xian and the sect leader were both killed by the joint forces of Zhao Ming and the members of the Azure Forest Trisect? That day in the Crimson Sky Kingdom, when he saw Zhao Ming had actually become a guardian elder of the Azure Forest Trisect. He only thought that Zhao Ming had rebelled after becoming a prisoner of the Azure Forest Trisect. So, even though Zhao Ming had betrayed the 7-star sword sect, everyone had their own ambitions and he didn't really hate Zhao Ming on this. But now, his eyes went completely red when he heard Jing Song. Elder Xian has comprehended 7th level sword concept and is the strongest sword cultivator in our 7-star sword sect. With his strength, if it wasn't for Zhao Ming's surprise attack, he might have been able to survive. Zheng Song spoke furiously. Elder Xian. Duan Lingtian closed his eyes. Although it was the first time he'd met Elder Xian when the 7-star sword sect suffered a calamity, Elder Xian's graceful bearing was still unforgettable to him. Going against the 3 great experts of the Azure Forest Trisect by himself. How high-spirited and vigorous. But it was precisely such an old man that commanded respect that was killed by Zhao Ming's surprise attack. Zhao Ming. Duan Lingtian's figure lightly trembled, and the killing intent in his eyes couldn't be any stronger. He'd already made a decision in his heart. Once he possessed sufficient strength, he was surely going to enter the Darkstone Empire's inscription formation and kill Zhao Ming once more. Zhao Ming deserves death. After catching up with Zheng Song for a while, Duan Lingtian bid his farewells with Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshuai and left deep into the night. He discussed it with Zheng Song before leaving. The little gold mouse would send Zheng Song back to the 7-star sword sect tomorrow. Even though the 7-star sword sect didn't exist anymore, the Alcade Peaks master, Qin Xiang, and the sect leader's personal disciple Mou, were cultivating in the 10,000-year stalactite cave. After Duan Lingtian returned to the academy, he started to get busy. Mainly to refine some medicinal pills for Zheng Song, and he asked Little Gold to bring it to Zheng Song tomorrow. For the entire night, Duan Lingtian silently refined medicinal pills in his room. Yet he didn't know. Practically everyone in the academy was discussing his actions in the cage battle arena today. Duan Lingtian is too awesome. The manager of the cage battle arena, in existence at the 2nd level of the void initiation stage, was killed by the demon beast by his side in a single move. I can't believe that the little mouse that looks like a pet mouse by Duan Lingtian's side is actually a void initiation stage demon beast. That's why, you can't judge a rat by its appearance and you can't measure the sea with a pint pot. I heard that Duan Lingtian even made the young prince of Prince Sheng's estate, Zhang Heng, kowtow to him 10 times in front of a few tens of thousands of people. It seems like Zhang Heng was the one who was aggressive first, and Duan Lingtian was just giving him a taste of his own medicine. He can only blame his bad luck for provoking the Duan Lingtian. The Dragon Phoenix Academy students were filled with worship for Duan Lingtian's talent and strength. Now, after hearing about Duan Lingtian's tyrannical behavior, he was shocked. He felt his hot blood boil. Zhang Heng? Flame young master frowned when he received the news. That fellow actually went to offend Duan Lingtian. But that Duan Lingtian actually caused Prince Sheng's estate to lose so much face? I wonder how Uncle Wang will react. Zhang Heng was Zhang Yan's cousin brother. Duan Lingdan. Within the quiet room, a beauty that seemed to have walked out of a painting sighed lightly. Brother, that Duan Lingtian is already a 4th level void prying stage martial artist now. Only she was alone within the room and she spoke to the air. The atmosphere was slightly strange. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would surely be able to recognize this woman. It It was precisely Flute Fairy Ziyin. Whereas Flute Fairy's words were precisely spoken to Zither Young Master that was in the distant place. Zither Young Master had taken Duan Lingtian to be his lifelong enemy. It caused her, his younger sister, to be extremely worried. Duan Lingtian's improvement caused her to be shocked. An entire night passed quickly. Duan Lingtian withdrew his hand and put away the cauldron, then yawned. It's about time. Duan Lingtian's face revealed a smile as he looked at the bottles of medicinal pills before him. Squeak squeak, the little gold mouse's voice sounded out in a timely manner. After a night of rest, the little gold mouse was refreshed. Little gold. Duan Lingtian looked at the little gold mouse and said, I'll give you a mission today. Send senior brother Zheng Song back to the 10,000-year stalactite cave on Migra's Peak. Remember, don't cause trouble. As he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian had a serious expression. Squeak squeak, the little gold mouse was instantly slightly excited when she heard she could leave the imperial city. Duan Lingtian smiled when he saw the little gold mouse put away the medicinal pills into the spatial ring on her neck. Go on. Come back early. Got it, big brother Lingtian. The little gold mouse replied via voice transmission, then transformed into a golden light that left the room and left the Dragon and Phoenix Academy. In the blink of an eye, she vanished into the clouds. Between the outer court and inner court, outside the exquisite little house that was like a sentry tower, an old man stood there and looked at the direction the little gold mouse left towards. I truly never imagined that this little gold mouse by Duan Lingtian's side was even able to kill a second-level void initiation stage martial artist. The old man was precisely the vice dean of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, Qi Ming. With Prince Sheng's fiery temper, he's probably already entered the imperial palace now. Qi Ming muttered to himself, yet seemed to not be worried in the slightest. Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, Imperial City, Imperial Palace. The Imperial Palace of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom was extremely vast, and couldn't be compared to the Imperial Palace of the Crimson Sky Kingdom. Presently, outside a palace in the depths of the Imperial Palace, a middle-aged man in embroidered clothes with a hurried expression stood there and said respectfully, Imperial brother requests an audience. Meanwhile, a eunuch walked out from the palace and looked at the middle-aged man in embroidered clothes before lightly smiling. Prince Sheng, His Majesty invites you in. The middle-aged man in embroidered clothes, the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Prince Sheng and the younger brother of the Emperor, nodded and walked in with large strides. After walking into the palace, what appeared before his eyes was a magnificent hall. Presently, a dignified middle-aged man in a dragon robe sat upright at the head of the hall, and he emitted a dignified aura without being angry. Behind the dignified middle-aged man, an old man with an emaciated appearance stood there like a shadow, with an expressionless face and a restrained aura. The identity of the dignified middle-aged man was obvious. The Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Imperial brother. Prince Sheng bowed respectfully to the Emperor. Imperial brother, there's no need to be so courteous. The Emperor raised his hand to stop Prince Sheng, then his eyes narrowed as he asked. Imperial brother hastily entered the Imperial Palace to see me early in the morning. Is there something important? Imperial brother, you have to uphold justice for that nephew of yours. Prince Sheng bowed and spoke with an angry expression. The Emperor's gaze flashed as he asked slowly, what exactly happened? Prince Sheng said in a low voice. Imperial brother, a student from the Dragon and Phoenix Academy came to cause trouble in Imperial brother's caged battle arena yesterday. Not only did he allow the demon beast by his side to kill a 9th-level void prying stage revered elder of my Prince Sheng estate, he even killed a 2nd-level void initiation stage manager of my caged battle arena. Besides that, he even asked Heng to kowtow 10 times to him. When he spoke up to hear, Prince Sheng was filled with righteous indignation. Imperial brother, no matter how wrong Heng is, the bloodline of the imperial family flows within his body. Suffering such humiliation didn't only bring shame to my Prince Sheng estate, it similarly brought shame to the imperial family. So, Imperial brother earnestly requests Imperial brother to allow Imperial brother to personally lead people to the Dragon and Phoenix Academy and denounce that student. Prince Sheng spoke with a clear voice. There's such a thing? The Emperor's brows raised when he heard this and he asked. Who's that Dragon and Phoenix Academy student? Imperial brother, it's precisely that surviving bastard of the 7-star sword sect, Duan Lingtian. As Prince Sheng finished speaking, he spoke word by word with extreme indignation. Duan Lingtian? The Emperor's brows raised and he emitted a dignified aura. Are you sure it's him? I'm sure. Prince Xing nodded. Imperial brother, if it's anyone else, then I can make the decision and allow you to go get back at them. But this Duan Lingtian is out of the question. The emperor shook his head. Out of the question? Prince Sheng was stunned, and he revealed an unwilling expression. Imperial brother, why is that so? The emperor said indifferently, Imperial brother, I presume you've heard of this Duan Lingtian and know of this Duan Lingtian's natural talent. Presently, the imperial selection of the martial competition of the 10 dynasties is imminent, and he possesses extraordinary significance to my Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Prince Sheng took a deep breath and said with a clear voice, Imperial brother, could it be that the humiliation of my Prince Sheng estate is to be suffered for nothing? Prince Sheng. The emperor's face sank slightly when he saw Prince Sheng being overbearing, and even the way he addressed Prince Sheng had changed. I don't know the exact details of this matter for now, but according to my understanding of that son of yours, he isn't someone easy to deal with. Let's drop this matter at this point, there's no need to speak any further. You can leave. As he finished speaking, the emperor's attitude was resolute. Yes, imperial brother. Presently, Prince Sheng was able to feel the emperor's resoluteness, and he took a deep breath before bidding his farewells and leaving. At the instant he turned around, Prince Sheng's eyes flickered with extremely cold lights. Duan Lingtian, you killed an expert of my Prince Sheng estate, humiliated my son, humiliated my Prince Sheng estate. I'll surely make you die a graveless death. Imperial brother can protect you for now, but I can't protect you forever. Boundless killing intent was brewing in Prince Sheng's heart. Perhaps I should discuss this with the 3 great sect leaders of the Azure Forest Trisect. With me cooperating with them from the inside, it's surely not difficult to kill that Duan Lingtian. A crazy thought arose in Prince Sheng's heart. When this thought arose, it was difficult to restrain it any longer. After leaving the imperial palace, Prince Sheng left the imperial city and headed directly north. In the north, the former Snow Moon sect was situated within a cluster of mountains, and it was covered in snow all year round, and it was a world of ice and snow. Today this world welcomed an uninvited guest. Sect leader Shui. A sonorous voice sounded out, and it shook the snow in the cluster of mountains to the point it shook. Swoosh. A figure soared into the sky. It was precisely a middle-aged man that wore a silk scarf and held a feather fan in his hand. Prince Sheng? The person that arrived was precisely the former sect leader of the Snow Moon sect, Shui Rui, and one of the 3 great sect leaders of the Azure Forest Trisect today. He was slightly surprised when he saw the uninvited guest before him. Prince Sheng Zhangxing. The younger brother of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's emperor had no contact with him. The visit today caused him to be deeply surprised. Sect leader Shui, aren't you going to invite me in? Zhangxing asked. Prince Sheng, please. Chapter 547. The audience hall that was suffused with warm air and the world of ice and snow outside the audience hall were 2 completely different extremes. Presently, Shui Rui and Zhang Xing sat opposite each other in the audience hall. Prince Sheng, have you specially come to look for this Shui? Shui Rui went straight to the point. Exactly. Zhang Xing nodded, and flames of rage leaped about within his eyes as he said with a low voice, Sect leader Shui, I won't waste my breath. I came to look for you this time mainly because I want to cooperate with your Azure Forest Trisect. Cooperate? Shui Rui was stunned, and then he shook his head and smiled. Prince Sheng, according to my knowledge, our Azure Forest Trisect has no relationship with your Prince Sheng's estate, so how can we cooperate? Sect leader Shui, I want to join forces with your Azure Forest Trisect and cooperate from the inside to kill that Duan Lingtian. Zhang Xing spoke word by word. Duan Lingtian. Zhang Sheng's words caused Shui Rui's eyes to squint slightly. Prince Sheng. According to my knowledge, that Duan Lingtian is a student of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy now, and to a certain extent, he's protected by your imperial family. Exactly. Zhang Xing nodded as a strand of killing intent flashed within his eyes. It's precisely because my imperial brother is protecting him that I thought of cooperating with your Azure Forest Trisect to kill him. I wonder how that Duan Lingtian was so blind as to offend Prince Sheng. Shui Rui asked with interest. Zhang Xing angrily spoke of the sequence of events. That rat-type demon beast by Duan Lingtian's side is capable of killing a second-level void initiation stage martial artist? Shui Rui's brows raised. Prince Sheng, do you know the exact cultivation of that demon beast? I don't know. Zhang Xing shook his head, and then he seemed to have thought of something and asked. Sect Leader Shui, according to my knowledge, your Azure Forest Trisect ought to wish for nothing more than to kill that Duanling Tian as soon as possible. Yet I wonder why you've allowed him to live until now? With that Duanling Tian's natural talent, after another 10 years, there might not be anyone in the Azure Forest Trisect that is a match for him. As he finished speaking, Zhang Sheng's eyes flickered with bright lights. He still couldn't figure it out. If he was the sect leader of the Azure Forest Trisect, then after he found out that Duanling Tian was in the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, he would surely stop at nothing to kill Duanling Tian. The threat of Duanling Tian was too great. Prince Sheng, to tell you the truth, our Azure Forest Trisect had already taken actions against that Duanling Tian almost 1 year ago. Flowing lights flickered within Shui Rui's eyes as he said slowly, at that time, our Azure Forest Trisect sent out 2 6th-level Void Initiation Stage Guardian Elders to head to the Imperial City and wait for an opportunity to kill Duanling Tian. However, those 2 Guardian Elders vanished into thin air later on, and it was as if they'd vanished into thin air. It was precisely because of this that our Azure Forest Trisect didn't dare act rashly. Shui Rui said in one breath. At this point, Shui Rui's eyes revealed a trace of fear. Apart from that, his direct disciple Lu Yu had also disappeared without a trace. According to his guess, the odds were against him. What? Zhang Sheng's face went grim. 2 6th-level Void Initiation Stage experts vanished into thin air? Could it be that it was done by that demon beast by Duanling Tian's side? It shouldn't be. Shui Rui shook his head. If the demon beast by Duanling Tian's side possessed the strength to kill 2 6th-level Void Initiation Stage experts, do you think he wouldn't come look for our Azure Forest Trisect to take revenge for the 7-star Sword Sect? Zhang Sheng came to a sudden understanding. Indeed. If the demon beast by Duanling Tian's side possessed the strength to kill 6th-level Void Initiation Stage experts, then it would surely not let the Azure Forest Trisect off. Could it be that your Azure Forest Trisect won't make a move against Duanling Tian until the day you're unable to find those 2 Guardian Elders? Zhang Sheng guessed as he spoke. According to my guess, the 2 Guardian Elders might have temporarily gone into hiding because of something. It's impossible for it to be related to Duanling Tian. I think so as well. But the other 2 sect leaders instead advocated for safety. Shui Rui continued. Safety indeed should be taken. But the method of allowing Duanling Tian to grow freely isn't desirable. Zhang Sheng said. Prince Sheng, you said earlier that you want to work together with us to eliminate Duanling Tian? I presume you have a mature idea. I'm willing to hear the details. Shui Rui asked Zhang Sheng. Duanling Tian naturally didn't know that a great scheme was assaulting him now. Presently, he was silently cultivating in the Dragon and Phoenix Academy. He was waiting for the arrival of the Genius competition half a month from now. The Genius competition would decide on the strongest 5 people in the end, and they would obtain 5 positions to head to the Darkstone Empire. With Duanling Tian's current strength, it wasn't difficult for him to seize one of the 5 positions. But Duanling Tian's current target wasn't the position in the Genius competition. There was no suspense in obtaining that position to him. He didn't even think about it. His current target was to break through to the Void Initiation Stage as soon as possible. At that time, he would be able to open the Sword Monarch's treasure with the owners of the other 8 Jade Swords. The Sword Monarch's treasure was a treasure trove left behind by a sword cultivator martial monarch. Perhaps there would be something useful to him within it. But unfortunately, even though the rebirth pill can be said to be heaven-defying and capable of greatly increasing one's cultivation, I only have one main ingredient now. Duanling Tian's side. The most important material for the rebirth pill was the blood of the Red Phoenix. However, besides the blood of the Red Luan that was the main medicinal ingredient, the rebirth pill still required 2 other auxiliary medicinal ingredients. Even though those 2 auxiliary ingredients couldn't be considered to be rare in the foreign lands. But within the territory of the Dark Han dynasty, they were extremely rare. All those years ago, after Samsara Emperor Wu consumed the rebirth pill, he spent many years before completely digesting the medicinal strength of the rebirth pill, and he broke through from the 1st level of the Emperor Wu stage to the 4th level of the Emperor Wu stage in one go, suppressing the other Emperor Wus of Cloud Continent. When he thought of the terrifying medicinal strength contained within the rebirth pill, Duanling Tian felt a wave of terror in his heart. That medicinal strength could be said to be heaven-defying. Most importantly, the medicinal strength of the rebirth pill was extremely gentle. Any person or demon beast with a cultivation could consume it. I can only wait until I go to the Darkstone Empire and take a look at the Dark Han dynasty. Duanling Tian thought in his heart. The other medicinal materials were nothing. He'd already obtained the most difficult ingredient, the blood of the red phoenix, and he only lacked those two auxiliary ingredients. So long as he obtained those two auxiliary ingredients, he would be able to refine the rebirth pill. Now, Duan Lingtian only hoped to be able to find those two medicinal materials in the Darkhan dynasty. Perhaps I can ask City Governor Feng for help once I arrive at the Darkhan dynasty. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but recall the Feng Wu Dao and the others he'd met in the Darkstone Empire's Phoenix Nest City. Feng Wu Dao had said that he should come look for him at the Feng clan in the Darkhan dynasty's capital in the future. There's also Tian Wu. Now she's another step closer to the age of 30. I hope I'll be able to find a way to help her before she's 30. Feng Qianwu possessed the rare fire spirit body. If she didn't have a way to deal with it before the age of 30, then Feng Qianwu would surely explode and die. Although the relationship between him and Feng Qianwu hadn't progressed to the extent of developing feelings for a man, but he'd always felt pity towards that beautiful and passionate young woman in his heart. If it was possible, he wasn't willing to see her perish like this. Half a month of time passed in the blink of an eye. During this period of time, Little Gold had returned after sending Zheng Song to the 10,000-year stalactite cave on Migres Peak. Today, early in the morning after eating breakfast, a group of Dragon and Phoenix Academy students gathered together. Everyone from today onwards, the Dragon and Phoenix Academy will be disbanded. All of you can return to your respective powers. Tomorrow, all of you can rely on the Dragon and Phoenix Academy command token in your possession to lead the seniors of your respective powers to enter the Imperial Palace to observe the competition between geniuses. At that time, someone will take the command token in your possession. Now all of you can disperse. The Vice Dean of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, Qi Ming, spoke slowly. Instantly, all the Dragon and Phoenix Academy students present went silent. Especially some outer hall students. They'd formed quite deep friendships with each other. After today they'd go their separate ways. All of them felt reluctant. However, all good things must come to an end. No matter how reluctant they were, they had to part in the end. Vice Dean Qi, farewell. Duan Lingtian nodded to Qi Ming, then turned around and left with Luo Zhan and Qin Xiao Shuai. See you tomorrow. Qi Ming's voice transmission entered into Duan Lingtian's ears as well. After Duan Lingtian's group of 3 left, the group of Dragon and Phoenix Academy students left successively. Ziyan. The flame young master Zhang Yan shamelessly followed behind the flute fairy, Ziyan. Zhang Yan, I'm warning you, don't follow me again. Flute fairy's beautiful brows raised, and she was like a tigress that had revealed its might. But Zhang Yan utterly didn't fall for this. Perhaps, so long as Flute Fairy wasn't married, he wouldn't give up pursuing Flute Fairy. After Duan Lingtian, Luo Zhan, and Qin Xiao Shuai left the Dragon and Phoenix Academy. They went to have a meal together. After the meal, Duan Lingtian, do you want to go to the Spring Night Pavilion with me? Qin Xiao Shuai looked at Duan Lingtian with a dubious expression. No. Duan Lingtian shook his head, and his tone was resolute and decisive. Truly boring. Sometimes I wonder if all of you aren't interested in women. Qin Xiao Shuai shook his head, then glanced at Duan Lingtian before looking at Luo Zhan and sighing with emotion. Sword young master, I'm more interested in sparring with you. Duan Lingtian spoke word by word. Exactly, I'm interested in sparring with Sword young master as well. Luo Zhan looked at Qin Xiao Shuai as battle intent arose in his eyes. Qin Xiao Shuai rolled his eyes at Duan Lingtian and Luo Zhan. I can't be bothered with the both of you. As soon as he finished speaking, he directly jumped out of the window and went to the Spring Night Pavilion to find some fun. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian and Luo Zhan left the restaurant after they finished their meal and headed to the Alchemist Guild's headquarters. The Alchemist Guild's headquarters had a total of 5 floors. The first floor was the hall where one issued and received assignments. The second floor was the place to verify one's grade and issue the weapons craftsman badge. The third floor was the equipment refinement room exclusive to the guild master, Luo Rong. The fourth floor was the place where the staff of the Alchemist Guild's headquarters rested. The fifth floor was where Luo Rong rested. When he heard Duan Lingtian wanted to stay the night here, Luo Rong immediately instructed someone to clean up a room on the 5th floor for Duan Lingtian to stay in. Even though Duan Lingtian wasn't willing to be Luo Rong's teacher. Amongst them there was no lack of members of the Z clan that followed Flute Fairy, Ziyan, over. The flame young master Zhang Yan was chatting enthusiastically with the higher-ups of the Z clan by Flute Fairy's side. But his gaze never left Flute Fairy from the beginning until the end. He's really a romantic. Duan Lingtian sighed with emotion. In next to no time, Duan Lingtian saw two figures flying over from the distant sky. These were two old men. One of the old men was precisely the vice dean of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, Qi Ming. As for the other person, he'd never seen him before. He ought to be one of the 5 great revered elders of the imperial family as well. Duan Lingtian thought to himself when he saw Qi Ming and the old man chatting and laughing. Suddenly Duan Lingtian noticed a cold gaze descending onto him. Subsequently he saw a familiar figure. Zhang Heng. The little prince of Prince Sheng's estate. Presently, there was a middle-aged man in luxurious clothes by Zhang Heng's side. The middle-aged man had an imposing appearance, and his surroundings were filled with people that flattered him. He's Prince Sheng. Luo Rong's voice sounded out by Duan Lingtian's ears. Duan Lingtian nodded. It's about time. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself, and then his gaze descended into the distance. There were 3 black-clothed people standing there. Members of the Black Fiend sect. Right at this moment, the members of the Black Fiend sect including Chai Jin noticed Duan Lingtian's gaze as well. Chai Jin had a dark expression as he said a few words to the old man and middle-aged man by his side. This caused the two of them to reveal surprised expressions. Duan Lingtian let out a low snort, his eyes suffused with coldness. Bringing along the little golden mouse he strode over. Duan Lingtian's actions gave Chai Jin a fright. What does this Duan Lingtian want to do? Chai Jin asked himself. Although he wished that he could completely return the humiliation that Duan Lingtian had given him back then to Duan Lingtian, because the distance between him and Duan Lingtian was growing larger and larger, it caused him to almost dispel this thought. He knew that he and Duan Lingtian were simply not on the same level. Moreover, he discovered that at this moment, Duan Lingtian's gaze actually flickered with a dense coldness. This caused his heart to skip a beat. Soon, Chai Jin discovered that Duan Lingtian's gaze was not on him. It was on the person beside him. Senior brother, do you know this Duan Lingtian? Chai Jin looked at the black-clothed middle-aged man with an ugly appearance and asked curiously. The black-clothed middle-aged man looked at Duan Lingtian and shook his head. I don't know him. Wait, why do I feel that he's coming for you, senior brother? Chai Jin's expression changed. And at this moment, as Duan Lingtian strode out, it was as if the black-clothed middle-aged man was the only thing left in the world in his eyes. This black-clothed middle-aged man with an ugly appearance was something that he would never forget in his lifetime. 8 years ago in the misty forest outside Aurora City. The person from the Black Fiend sect that used a powerful aura to suppress him and humiliate him was this person. Kid, remember, in front of me you're just an ant. If I wanted to kill you, it would be no different from trampling an ant to death. I disdain to kill you. Now, Duan Lingtian still remembered these words that the other party said at that time. At that moment, it was as if the reason he was able to survive was all because of the other party's disdain. Sun Rui. Duan Lingtian walked in front of the 3 people from the Black Fiend sect and stared fixedly at the black-clothed middle-aged man as he slowly spoke. Sun Rui. Duan Lingtian had only just finished speaking. Chai Jin's pupils constricted as he looked at the black-clothed middle-aged man with a bewildered expression. Duan Lingtian even knew his senior brother's name. How could his senior brother not recognize Duan Lingtian? You know me? Sun Rui frowned as he sized up the violet-clothed young man before him, yet didn't have the slightest impression of him. Now he found out about the identity of the person before him from his junior brother, Chai Jin. Duan Lingtian. This person was the former #1 genius of the 7-star sword sect. Moreover, he was a figure that suppressed the 5 great young masters of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. He'd heard of him. But he could be sure that he ought to have no relationship with Duan Lingtian. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to forget such a genius martial artist. Ha! Duan Lingtian noticed the bewilderment in Sun Rui's eyes and suddenly started laughing. Right in front of the high and mighty you in the past, I was only a lowly ant that could be ignored. It's not surprising that you don't remember me. Duan Lingtian's voice contained slight ridicule mixed within. Chapter 549. Loli? Duan Lingtian? The group of people on the drill grounds were all dumbstruck when they heard Duan Lingtian. Before long, everyone reacted and surrounded Duan Lingtian. Luo Rong, Luo Zhan, and Qin Shaoshui were the first to bear the brunt of the crowd and stood behind Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, what's going on? Luo Zhan frowned and looked at the three people from the Black Fiend sect with hostility. Qin Shaoshui's hand was even placed on the sheathed sword on his back. It seemed as if so long as Duan Lingtian and the people from the Black Fiend sect had a disagreement, he would directly attack. It's nothing, I'm just meeting an old friend. Duan Lingtian shook his head and the corners of his mouth curled into an evil smile. However, no one believed Duan Lingtian's words at this moment. Was he meeting an old friend? It looked more like he was denouncing Duan Lingtian. I heard my disciple Cai Jin mention you before. You're Duan Lingtian. I wonder how my eldest disciple, Sun Rui, offended you? The old man in black clothes had a conspicuous aquiline nose and a hoarse voice that caused others to be unable to help but feel a chill in their hearts. However, Duan Lingtian paid no attention to the old man and continued to stare at Sun Rui. Duan Lingtian, my master is talking to you. Don't go too far. Cai Jin was instantly enraged when he saw Duan Lingtian daring to disregard his master. Unfortunately, Duan Lingtian didn't even spare him a glance. What the hell do you want? Sun Rui's face sank as he glared angrily at Duan Lingtian. What do I want? Duan Lingtian started laughing. The high and mighty void stage expert of the Black Fiend sect. What can a lowly ant like me do before someone as noble as you? Your words are slightly laughable. What do you mean by this? I don't even know you, why are you targeting me? Sun Rui spoke in a low voice, and his ugly features became slightly savage. Against you? The smile on Duan Lingtian's face instantly vanished as he said in a dull tone, You said I'm picking on you? You think you're worthy? Duan Lingtian said word by word. Whoosh. Duan Lingtian's sudden change in attitude was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. The crowd burst into an uproar. Duan Lingtian seems to hate this person from the Black Fiend sect. Isn't this the elder of the Black Fiend sect, Sun Rui? Also, isn't this old man the supreme elder of the Black Fiend sect, Qiuqing? This Qiuqing seems to be Sun Rui's master. When did the Black Fiend sect defend the Duan Lingtian? You really don't have eyes. The crowd of onlookers discussed animatedly. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 2 howls of wind came from the horizon, successfully diverting everyone's attention. It was precisely the arrival of Qi Ming and the other revered elder of the imperial family. After the people that knew Qi Ming and the other revered elder respectfully greeted them, they withdrew their gazes and once again looked at Duan Lingtian and Sun Rui with interest. They were able to discern. The conflict between Duan Lingtian and Sun Rui was on the verge of erupting. Qi Ming noticed that the atmosphere wasn't right, and he sent a voice transmission to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, you have a conflict with this person from the Black Fiend sect? Do you need my help? Qi Ming, a revered elder of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial family. In existence at the 6th level of the Void Initiation stage. Presently, he who possessed a Grade 4 spirit weapon had a strength that was even more shocking. He could be considered to be the number 2 expert of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial family. The number 1 expert was that expert at the 7th level of the Void Initiation stage that rarely made an appearance. That expert was also called the number 1 expert of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. If it wasn't for the imperial family suffering a great calamity or a top expert descending to the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, that expert had rarely made an appearance in the past many years. Normally, the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial family was managed by the current emperor and the 5 great revered elders. Qi Ming was one of the 5 great revered elders. It's only a small matter, there's no need to trouble Vice Dean Qi. Duan Lingtian sent a voice transmission and declined Qi Ming's good intentions. You think you're worthy? Duan Lingtian's words caused Sun Rui's face to go gloomy, and he said in a low voice, Duan Lingtian, it's my first time meeting you. Why are you so overbearing? First time meeting? Sun Rui's words caused Duan Lingtian to be unable to refrain from laughing. He laughed to the point the surrounding spectators were muddled. Has this Duan Lingtian gone mad? Many people thought in their hearts. Finally, Duan Lingtian restrained his laughter, and his eyes flickered with cold lights as he said word by word, High and mighty void stage expert of the Black Fiend sect. Do you still remember the forest that was covered in mist all year long at the southern side of the Crimson Sky Kingdom 8 years ago? Crimson Sky Kingdom? Sun Rui frowned as he recalled. In the end he recalled it. 8 years ago he'd indeed gone to the Crimson Sky Kingdom. At that time he'd received the orders of the sect leader to pursue and kill the remaining members of the Boundless sect and seize the key to open the Sword Monarch's treasure. but unfortunately he'd failed the mission that time. A forest that was covered in mist all year long? Sun Rue recalled, yet was unable to recall it for a time. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian continued. Do you still remember the pair of young man and young woman you met in that forest that day? Do you still remember what sort of gaze you used to be disrespectful to that young woman that day? Do you still remember how you used your origin energy at the void prying stage to injure and humiliate that young man with a voice transmission? Duan Lingtian asked 3 questions successively. If you've forgotten all this, then do you still remember what you said to that young man? Duan Lingtian stared at Sun Rue, and his gaze abruptly became fierce. Brat, remember this. In front of me you're just an ant. If I want to kill you, it's no different than trampling an ant to death. I disdain to kill you. Duan Lingtian slowly spoke word by word of what Sun Rue had said to him all those years ago. Whoosh! The surrounding crowd of spectators burst into an uproar. Now they finally understood what was going on. So it turned out that it was this Sun Rue of the Black Fiend sect that humiliated Duan Lingtian 8 years ago. Moreover, he'd called Duan Lingtian an ant, and wantonly trampled on the dignity of Duan Lingtian. In this world where the strong were respected, to a certain extent, dignity was even more important than life. If a person didn't even have dignity, then he was only a walking corpse. Now they were able to understand Duan Lingtian's feelings. 8 years. That was the humiliation that pressed down on Duan Lingtian's heart for 8 years. How many 8 years could there be in one's life? They could imagine. During these 8 years, every time Duan Lingtian thought of this, he would surely be ashamed and resentful to the extreme. This Sun Rue is really unlucky. The root of the calamity that was planted 8 years ago has come to settle the score with him today. As the saying goes, the river flows east 30 years and the river flows west 30 years later. Don't bully a poor youth. The youth from 8 years ago has now grown up, and is able to refute Sun Rue's humiliation with his current strength. This Sun Rue probably never imagined even in his dreams that the youth that he viewed as an ant in the past, and even disdained to kill, would grow to such an extent today. The surrounding crowd of spectators sighed with emotion, and all felt that Sun Rue was too lucky. But this luck wasn't something that anyone could enjoy. You? Sun Rue shuddered when he was reminded by Duan Lingtian, and his pupils constricted as if he'd seen a ghost. You're that violet-clothed youth from all those years ago? Duan Lingtian didn't answer Sun Rue. His gaze gradually went cold and flickered with killing intent. Sun Rue's humiliation all those years ago was one of the driving forces that urged him to cultivate bitterly all these years. He cultivated so bitterly because he harbored the thought of looking for Sun Rue to wash away his humiliation. Today he finally had the strength to wash away his humiliation. Sun Rue knew that Duan Lingtian had tacitly agreed. Coldness couldn't help but arise in his heart. Being reminded step by Duan Lingtian, he very easily recalled the scene from all those years ago. At that time, he and another elder of the Black Fiend sect chased after the Boundless sect's young sect leader and entered the forest that was enshrouded in mist. Within the forest he encountered an extremely beautiful young girl, as well as an arrogant and unruly youth. At that time, he only took a few more glances at the young girl, and the youth forcefully stood out and blocked in front of the young girl. And even blocked his gaze. The youth's actions infuriated him. He only casually condensed his origin energy into sound, and with a cold snort, he injured the youth. In his eyes, a youth from a remote place in a tiny kingdom was only an ant, and not worth mentioning. At that time he even disdained to kill the youth. That incident he quickly forgot about it. However, he'd never imagined that. The youth that was like an ant in his eyes all those years ago and disdained to kill had actually grown to such an extent now, a monstrous genius that could be said to be unprecedented in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. If he knew earlier that there would be such a day, he would absolutely not let the youth off that day. It was imaginable. If he killed the youth that day, everything that happened now wouldn't have happened. Earlier he'd obtained a great deal of understanding of the violet-clothed young man before him, Duan Lingtian, from his junior brother, Chai Jin. He knew that this Duan Lingtian had a cultivation that had stepped into the 4th level of the void prying stage at such a young age. Not only that, the little gold mouse that stood on Duan Lingtian's shoulder was even a formidable demon beast that was capable of killing a 2nd level void initiation stage expert. He wasn't afraid of Duan Lingtian himself. Even if Duan Lingtian had comprehended 2 types of half-step advanced force. As far as he was concerned, it was impossible for Duan Lingtian to be a match for him, a 6th level void prying stage martial artist. Whereas what he was afraid of now was the little gold mouse by Duan Lingtian's side. This little gold mouse was capable of killing a second-level void initiation stage martial artist. In other words, the strength of this little gold mouse wasn't even inferior to his master, the supreme elder of the Black Fiend sect. Duan Lingtian, what do you want to do now? Sun Rui took a deep breath and asked with a low voice. What do I want to do? Duan Lingtian started laughing. I naturally want to kill you and trample you beneath my feet to be my stepping stone. During these 8 years, Sun Rui had always been a thorn in his heart. Only by completely eradicating Sun Rui would he be able to disperse the resentment from these 8 years. Duan Lingtian's voice was extremely flat. But the killing intent within it caused one to shudder with fear. Many people observed a moment of silence for Sun Rui. Not to mention the network of relationships around Duan Lingtian like the crazy young master Luo Zhan, and the background behind Luo Zhan. Even the mouse-type demon beast by Duan Lingtian's side was sufficient to suppress the entire Black Fiend sect. The Black Fiend sect only had 3 void initiation stage experts. Chapter 550. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Sun Rui's face completely went pale. Chai Jin's face went pale as well, and he said furiously, Duan Lingtian, my senior brother spared your life that year. Not only do you not know how to repay kindness, you actually repay kindness with enmity. Spare my life? Repay kindness with enmity? Chai Jin's words caused Duan Lingtian to be unable to help but be stunned, and then he couldn't help but laugh. The surrounding crowd of spectators looked at Chai Jin as if they were looking at an idiot. The matter between Duan Lingtian and Sun Rui was clearly stated by Duan Lingtian earlier. It was obviously Sun Rui who relied on his formidable strength to bully Duan Lingtian, and after humiliating Duan Lingtian multiple times, he disdained to kill Duan Lingtian. What did this have to do with repaying kindness with enmity? Chai Jin. Duan Lingtian's gaze was fierce as he stared at Chai Jin and said coldly, Then I'll break your limbs for no reason now and leave you alive. When you lie on the bed in the future, will you still be deeply grateful to me and thank me for showing mercy today and sparing your life? Duan Lingtian asked word by word. Chai Jin was instantly stunned when he heard this, and his face flushed red, yet he had nothing to say. If such a thing really happened, would he be deeply grateful to Duan Lingtian? No. He would only hate Duan Lingtian to the bone. When he saw Chai Jin shut his mouth, Duan Lingtian's gaze that was filled with killing intent once again descended onto Sun Rui, and it was filled with ruthlessness. Duan Lingtian. Finally, the black-clothed old man by Sun Rui's side, the supreme elder of the Black Fiend sect, Qiu Cheng, spoke. The matter that year was due to my lack of guidance. I hope you can give me some face and spare the life of this worthless disciple of mine. Due to the network of relationships around Duan Lingtian and the terrifying strength of the little gold mouse by Duan Lingtian's side, Qiu Cheng admitted defeat. Right when everyone was curious if Duan Lingtian would give Qiu Cheng some face. For your sake? Duan Lingtian looked Qiu Cheng up and down. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, he said slowly, Do I know you? Why should I give you face? Who do you think you are? Duan Lingtian's words caused the surrounding crowd to be stunned. These words were too harsh, right? You. Qiu Cheng, on the other hand, was so angry that his face turned red. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets as his body trembled. As the supreme elder of the Black Fiend sect, he was in existence at the second level of the void initiation stage. When had he ever been humiliated like this? Duan Lingtian, how dare you humiliate my master? Chai Jin was a young man after all, full of vigor and vitality. His figure flashed out, pouncing towards Duan Lingtian. Scram. However, before he could get close to Duan Lingtian, he was kicked away by Luo Zhan and fell to the ground. You dare touch my disciple? Qiu Cheng's face went grim as he looked at Luo Zhan, and his fierce eyes were filled with killing intent. The imposing aura of a void initiation stage expert swept out from his body and pressed down onto Luo Zhan, causing Luo Zhan's face to go grim. Right at this moment, so long as the surrounding people knew Luo Zhan, they looked at Qiu Cheng as if they were looking at an idiot. They knew that Qiu Cheng was going to suffer. Was the crazy young master Luo Zhan someone he could bully? Right at this moment, a deafening cold grunt suddenly sounded out. It shook most of the people present to the point their vital blood roiled. You dare touch my grandson? Subsequently, most of the people present felt a strong wind blow past, and it blew past to the point their faces hurt. Bang. Accompanied by an enormous bang. The supreme elder of the Black Fiend sect, Qiu Cheng, who had an overbearing aura a moment ago, flew out like an arrow that left the bow and fiercely collided with the nearby stone tablet. Bang! The stone tablet shattered into pieces and was on the verge of collapse. On the other hand, Qiu Cheng's face was ghastly pale as he repeatedly spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. After consuming a few healing medicinal pills, he was barely able to stand up. But his body that stood up was still on the verge of collapse. His gaze descended onto the old man that attacked him, and there was an extra sense of terror in his eyes. Who are you? You aren't worthy of knowing my name. The old man glanced at Qiu Cheng with disdain before turning around and returning to Luo Zhan's side. Luo Rong, you old fellow, you've come as well? Right at this moment, Qi Ming, who stood in the sky, seemed as if he'd discovered a new continent, and he descended to the old man's side. Luo Rong? Qi Ming's words caused Qiu Cheng to be dumbstruck. Luo Rong? The Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild's Guild Master? Qiu Cheng was greatly shocked in his heart. Subsequently, his gaze descended onto Luo Zhan. Then this young man is the head of the 5 great young masters of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, crazy young master? Qiu Cheng's face was covered in bitterness. If he knew earlier that this was crazy young master Luo Zhan, even if he had 10 times the courage, he wouldn't dare bully Luo Zhan. These people from the Black Fiend sect are really formidable. Yeah, like master, like disciple. Today, I can be considered to have comprehended the true meaning of these words. The older one offended Duan Lingtian, the younger one offended crazy young master, and this old one is even more formidable. He directly offended Guild Master Luo. Guild Master Luo is in existence at the 6th level of the Void Initiation stage. Supposedly, in terms of strength, he isn't even inferior to any one of the 5 great revered elders of the imperial family. The surrounding crowd of spectators sighed with emotion. When these words entered into the ears of the 3 Black Fiend sect members, it caused their expressions to become unsightly. Especially Qiu Cheng and Chai Jin, who were already injured, they were angered to the point of spitting out a mouthful of blood. Duan Lingtian. Sun Rui knew that he had lost the upper hand when he saw his master being injured. He looked at Duan Lingtian and said coldly, "You said repeatedly that you want to kill me and take me as a stepping stone to step on. Do you dare to fight me without relying on the strength of another to prove that you can step on me? If you don't dare, then to me you're still that ant from all those years ago." Sun Rui's words were filled with ridicule. At this moment, everyone present was able to discern it. Sun Rui was trying to goad Duan Lingtian into action. He wanted to infuriate Duan Lingtian and cause Duan Lingtian to get hot-headed and really intend to fight him himself. For a time, the gazes of everyone present descended onto Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian started laughing. "Sun Rui, do you think that I don't dare fight you myself?" Sun Rui grunted coldly. "Could it be that you dare? Since you want me to fight you myself, then I'll fulfill your wish and fight you myself. Little Gold, go over to Luo Zhan." Duan Lingtian had a carefree expression. Sun Rui was overjoyed in his heart when he heard Duan Lingtian agree. As far as he was concerned, the reason Duan Lingtian agreed was because Duan Lingtian didn't know his cultivation. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Duan Lingtian to agree. He was in existence at the 6th level of the void prying stage. Many people shook their heads and sighed with emotion when they saw Duan Lingtian falling for Sun Rui's goading. Duan Lingtian is too rash. Since Sun Rui dared challenge him, he naturally knows of Duan Lingtian's strength. Exactly. Sun Rui knows Duan Lingtian's strength, yet Duan Lingtian is completely unaware of Sun Rui's strength. Duan Lingtian is at a huge disadvantage in this battle. Sun Rui surely has confidence, that's why he used goading on Duan Lingtian. The surrounding crowd of spectators whispered in discussion. Many people shook their heads and sighed as they felt that Duan Lingtian was too rash. Duan Lingtian. Meanwhile, numerous voice transmissions that were filled with concern entered into Duan Lingtian's ears. They were mostly trying to dissuade Duan Lingtian. The owners of these voice transmissions. They were respectively Luo Rong, Luo Zhan, Qi Ming, Qin Xiao Shui. As for the content of the voice transmissions, it was none other than saying that he didn't know Sun Rui's cultivation, whereas Sun Rui knew his cultivation, so he was at a disadvantage. Duan Lingtian laughed in his heart towards this. He didn't know Sun Rui's cultivation? Early on when he saw Sun Rui for the first time outside the Imperial Palace, he'd relied on his acute spiritual force and the lifetime of experience of Emperor Wu to confirm Sun Rui's cultivation. Sun Rui, a 6th-level void prying stage martial artist. Besides that, because he'd used his spiritual force to detect Sun Rui, yet Sun Rui didn't notice in the slightest. He could determine that Sun Rui wasn't an inscription master. You're courting death. Some people were worried about Duan Lingtian, and there were naturally people that wished for nothing more than for Duan Lingtian to be killed by Sun Rui. For example, Prince Sheng's estate's Prince Sheng and the son of Prince Sheng, the young prince of Prince Sheng's estate, Jianghu. Now, their gazes contained slight pleasure in Sun Rui's misfortune. Senior brother, this Duan Lingtian has humiliated me on numerous occasions. This time, since he's conceded to the point of daring to personally battle you, you must take revenge for me. After Chai Jin consumed the healing medicinal pill, he hurriedly went to support his master, the Black Fiend sect's supreme elder, Qiu Cheng. At the same time he sent a voice transmission to Sun Rui. Don't worry junior brother, I'll surely make this Duan Lingtian die a graveless death. Not only will I vent your anger for you, but I'll also eliminate a great threat for me. Sun Rui looked at Duan Lingtian with eyes filled with frenzied killing intent. Duan Lingtian's natural talent caused him to be shocked and terrified. The weak young man from 8 years ago, 8 years later, actually had a cultivation level that was close to his own. Now he felt slightly fortunate. Fortunately he encountered Duan Lingtian now. Otherwise, if a few more years passed, it would be impossible for him to be a match for Duan Lingtian. No one had imagined that. Today the genius competition held by the Imperial Palace hadn't begun. There would be such a fascinating battle on the drill grounds. Duan Lingtian versus Sun Rui. One was the peerless genius that was renowned in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom in the recent few years. The other was the Black Fiend sect's elder. In next to no time the surrounding crowd of spectators either retreated or soared into the sky, and they looked from afar at Duan Lingtian and Sun Rui who were in confrontation. This fellow Duan Lingtian actually disregarded me. Luo Zhan frowned. Earlier he used a voice transmission to dissuade Duan Lingtian, but was directly disregarded by Duan Lingtian. I hope this fellow is really able to defeat this Sun Rui. Luo Zhan thought to himself. Squeak squeak, the little gold mouse stood on Luo Zhan's shoulder, and her jade-green eyes looked excitedly at Duan Lingtian. Big brother Lingtian, go for it. Kill him, kill him. The devilish voice of a young girl sounded out by Duan Lingtian's ears. Duan Lingtian was able to discern that this was the little gold mouse's voice. Duan Lingtian. Sun Rui looked at Duan Lingtian, and the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. If you have another life, remember to grow some brains. Today I'll send you on your way. Obviously, Sun Rui felt that Duan Lingtian had agreed to his challenge because of his impulse, because of his goading. I'll return the same words to you. Chapter 551. Shameless Boasting. Sun Rui glanced at Duan Lingtian with disdain and sneered. One move, I only need one move, and I'll be able to send you to hell. As soon as Sun Rui finished speaking, his entire body flashed out as if transforming into a bolt of lightning. The bolt of lightning flashed past and gave rise to a wave of explosive sounds that were like thunderclaps that swept towards Duan Lingtian. Swish! A spirit sword appeared out of thin air in Sun Rui's hand. The spirit sword shot out directly with raging origin energy, and it seemed to have transformed into an exploding venomous snake that fiercely bit towards Duan Lingtian. In the surroundings of this venomous snake, fierce azure-colored energy followed like a shadow. In the sky, an ancient horned dragon silhouette condensed into form and flashed out. Whereas in the surroundings of this ancient horned dragon silhouette, there were another 740 ancient mammoth silhouettes that followed behind it. 6th level of the void prying stage. At practically this instant, Luo Rong and Qi Ming reacted at the first possible moment, and their faces went ghastly pale. They were able to discern. Sun Rui's cultivation was at the 6th level of the void prying stage. Whereas the spirit sword in Sun Rui's hand was a grade 7 spirit sword. As for the force Sun Rui comprehended, it was half-step advanced wind force. Die. Zhang Heng's face revealed an insane smile, and his eyes were filled with extreme hatred. Half a month ago, the humiliation Duan Lingtian gave him in the cage battle arena was something he'd never forget for his entire lifetime. Witnessing Duan Lingtian being killed with his own 2 eyes was undoubtedly the happiest thing in his entire lifetime. Duan Lingtian. Whereas Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshui who were concerned about Duan Lingtian went grim now. They never imagined that. This Sun Rui of the Black Fiend sect was actually a 6th level void prying stage martial artist. If they knew earlier, they would surely stop at nothing to dissuade Duan Lingtian from avoiding the battle. After all, a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. But unfortunately what was done couldn't be undone now. But they weren't really worried about Duan Lingtian's safety. only because they knew. If Duan Lingtian's life was in danger, Luo Rong would absolutely not stand idly by. In Luo Rong's heart, Duan Lingtian was his teacher on the path of refining, and his position in his heart was transcendent. And that was indeed the case. Presently, Luo Rong's eyes had already concentrated, his origin energy accumulating, ready to make a move at any moment. To him, as long as he could save Duan Lingtian, nothing else mattered. However, he was soon dumbfounded. Heavens! What did he see? Luo Rong saw it. Just as Sun Rue's sword swept out like a venomous snake, biting towards Duan Lingtian, and was only a short distance away from Duan Lingtian. Whoosh! Sun Rue abruptly turned around. The sword in his hand drew a beautiful sword flower and actually swept through the air beside Duan Lingtian. Whoosh! The sword pierced through the air. This scene caused everyone present to be dumbfounded. In their opinion, Sun Rue seemed to be deliberately avoiding Duan Lingtian and stabbing at the air beside him. Why would Sun Rue show mercy to Duan Lingtian? Many people found it difficult to understand. Amongst them included Qiu Cheng and Chai Jin from the Black Fiend sect. What's senior brother doing? Chai Jin's face went grim. Why didn't he directly kill Duan Lingtian? With his strength, that sword strike from before was sufficient to kill Duan Lingtian. Qiu Cheng frowned. He naturally hoped that his disciple would be able to kill Duan Lingtian. Otherwise, Duan Lingtian being alive would undoubtedly be a potential threat to the Black Fiend sect. This threat might not be considered much now. But in a few years, even if Duan Lingtian didn't rely on the strength of others, he would probably be able to annihilate the Black Fiend sect by himself. Just when everyone felt that Sun Rue was showing mercy. Ha! Sun Rue's sword flashed out and pierced towards the air beside Duan Lingtian. Subsequently, he stood on the spot and stared at the ground beside Duan Lingtian before laughing wildly. Duan Lingtian, I've said it before, I only need a single move to kill you. You can't even block a single sword strike of mine, you're really useless. In the eyes of others, Sun Rue was speaking to the air. This scene caused everyone present to feel a chill run down their spines. Has Sun Rue gone mad? Many people were stunned. Could it be that Duan Lingtian used demonic techniques? There were also some Dragon and Phoenix Academy students that couldn't help but tremble in their hearts as they guessed in their hearts. Demonic techniques. Flute Fairy Ziyan's beautiful face instantly went grim. She'd always firmly believed that Duan Lingtian knew demonic techniques. Because her brother, Zither Young Master, was a victim. Whereas she was a victim as well. I almost forgot that this fellow knows demonic techniques. Luo Zhan and Qin Shaoshui couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief when they saw this scene. What's going on? Prince Sheng and his son had dumbstruck expressions now. They utterly didn't know what was happening before their eyes. Senior brother? Sun Rue. On the other hand, the Black Fiend sect's Chai Jin and Qiu Cheng sent voice transmissions into Sun Rue's ears with the intention of waking him up. However, Sun Rue seemed as if he'd been bewitched and remained unmoved. I allowed you to escape calamity 8 years ago. Killing you today will be the same as well. Sun Rue looked at the empty area with a cold expression. This scene caused most of the people present to be speechless. Has this Sun Rue lost his mind? Many people had strange gazes. Presently, amongst the people present, probably only Duan Lingtian knew what was going on. Early on when Sun Rue made a move against him, he'd successfully executed the soul skill 1000 illusions through the soul brand in the depths of his soul. Now Sun Rue had killed him, within the illusory space he constructed. Right when Sun Rue was enjoying the pleasure of killing him. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian moved and instantly arrived by Sun Rue's side. At this moment, Duan Lingtian didn't even have the intention of utilizing a spirit weapon, and with a raise of his hand he pointed towards Sun Rue's throat. Tempest Finger. Origin Energy Finger Force flashed out from the tip of Duan Lingtian's finger, and it gave rise to a wave of ear-piercing howls as if assisted by the gods. Sun Rue. The Black Fiend sect's Supreme Elder Qiu Cheng's face went ghastly pale when he saw he was unable to wake Sun Rue up with a voice transmission, and he hurriedly shouted out in alarm. He wanted to use this to wake Sun Rue up. However, the current Sun Rue was still unmoved. Under the disbelieving gazes of the surrounding crowd. Swish. Duan Lingtian's pure origin energy finger force that contained the strength of 6,000 ancient mammoths easily penetrated Sun Rue's throat. Fresh blood sprayed out. A hideous bloody hole appeared on Sun Rue's throat. Subsequently, Sun Rue's originally dim eyes recovered their luster at this moment. At this moment, the effect of the soul skill Duan Lingtian executed had completely vanished. Yo. After Sun Rui left the illusory space, he saw Duan Lingtian who stood before him at the first glance. His pupils constricted abruptly. Sun Rui was still unable to wrap his head around it at the moment of his death. How could a person that had clearly died at his hand suddenly come back to life? Bang! Sun Rui fell to the ground as blood gushed out from his throat like a pillar, and his eyes stared wide open as he completely lost all signs of life. Sun Rui. 6th level Void Prying Stage Martial Artist. Killed by Duan Lingtian with a single strike. No matter what happened, Sun Rui had indeed died at the hands of Duan Lingtian. The scene was deathly silent. The scene before their eyes gave them a feeling as if they were dreaming. Sun Rui. Senior brother. The Black Fiend sects Chiu Cheng and Chai Jin went grim when they saw Sun Rui being killed, and their eyes were dyed with a wisp of blood red. They were enraged to the point their bodies started trembling intensely, yet they didn't dare make a move. Only because they knew that if they dared make a move they would die without a doubt. This place wasn't their Black Fiend sect. Duan Lingtian stood there with a carefree expression as he calmly looked at Sun Rui's corpse. After a long time, Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief. The resentment that he'd accumulated because of Sun Rui during these past 8 years had vanished without a trace. The person that had once wantonly trampled on his dignity was dead. Completely dead. At this moment, it was like an enormous rock that pressed down on his heart had been shattered by him. The surroundings were deathly silent. Terrifyingly silent. The gazes of everyone descended onto Sun Rui's corpse. Even if it was Luo Zhan, Qin Shao Shuai, and the others that knew that Duan Lingtian knew demonic techniques. Even though they were filled with confidence towards Duan Lingtian. But when they saw Sun Rui was really killed by Duan Lingtian, they still couldn't help but feel a wave of shock. This was a 6th level Void Prying Stage Martial Artist. A 6th level Void Prying Stage Martial Artist was killed by Duan Lingtian in the blink of an eye. As for the other people that didn't know of Duan Lingtian's ability, they were even more shocked. Of course, even more people felt that Duan Lingtian was lucky. After all, the soul skill, 1000 illusions, was too difficult to understand to them. Duan Lingtian's luck is really good, he just happened to encounter Sun Rui who'd gone mad. Yeah, this luck is simply heaven-defying. Sun Rui was unlucky as well, he didn't go mad earlier or later, but just happened to go mad at the most critical moment and lost his life. The surrounding spectators all along the way. I never imagined that this Duan Lingtian's luck was actually so good. Zhang Heng's expression was incomparably gloomy. He originally thought that Sun Rui would be able to kill Duan Lingtian. Unexpectedly, Sun Rui actually went mad and was killed by Duan Lingtian instead. This caused the happiness in his heart to vanish without a trace. That Sun Rui is truly useless. Prince Sheng's expression was extremely unsightly as well. Since the moment Duan Lingtian offended Prince Sheng's estate, he wished for nothing more than to kill Duan Lingtian as soon as possible. What? Duan Lingtian naturally heard the whispers in the surroundings. He didn't have any reaction to this, nor did he have any intention of explaining. Presently, my cultivation is at the 4th level of the Void Prying Stage, and my spiritual force has been pushed to the 6th level of the Void Prying Stage. So long as it isn't a 6th level Void Prying Stage Inscription Master or a martial artist at the 7th level of the Void Prying Stage or above, it would be difficult for them to resist my soul skill. Duan Lingtian thought in his heart. Almost 1 year ago, during the first training mission in the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, Duan Lingtian obtained a soul pearl from a bandit leader in Blackwind Ridge, and it increased his spiritual force to the point of being 2 levels higher than his cultivation. At that time, his cultivation was at the 1st level of the Void Prying Stage, and his spiritual force was increased to the 3rd level of the Void Prying Stage. It could be said that he was able to kill Sun Rui today because of the soul pearl. All of this was also the reason he dared accept Sun Rui's challenge. Sun Rui's cultivation was at the 6th level of the Void Prying Stage. He wasn't an inscription master. Chapter 552. Demonic Technique. Demonic Technique. Whereas the Black Fiend sect's Chai Jin suddenly couldn't help but recall Flute Fairy Ziyan's loss of composure in the Dragon and Phoenix Academy's inner court 1 year ago. At that time, Flute Fairy repeatedly said that Duan Lingtian knew demonic techniques. But the group of people including him didn't believe her at that time. Now that he recalled it, all of this was so coincidental. What mad? He naturally knew that his senior brother didn't go mad, and it was precisely because of this that his gaze was filled with terror when he looked at Duan Lingtian once more. Demonic technique? The Black Fiend sect's supreme elder, Qiu Cheng, who was supported by Chai Jin, went grim when he heard Chai Jin, and he hurriedly asked in a low voice. Jin, what actually happened? Chai Jin spoke of his guest to Qiu Cheng in a low voice. Qiu Cheng's pupils constricted. Looks like Sun Rui's death wasn't unjust. Qiu Cheng gasped, and his gaze was filled with fear when he looked at the violet-clothed young man in the distance. Unfortunately, I'm useless. I'm afraid I'm unable to take revenge for senior brother. Chai Jin said bitterly. Jin. Qiu Cheng's gaze abruptly became fierce, and he shouted coldly in a low voice. You must completely forget what happened today. In the future, this Duan Lingtian must not be offended. Otherwise, it will only bring disaster to you and our Black Fiend sect. Qiu Cheng's voice contained boundless fear mixed within. Chai Jin's body trembled, and although he was filled with unwillingness, he still nodded honestly. He knew that his master wasn't exaggerating things to scare him. Duan Lingtian was indeed so terrifying. As expected of a master. The Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Alchemist Guild's guild master, Luo Rong, looked at the distant Duan Lingtian with a burning gaze. He originally planned to save Duan Lingtian when Duan Lingtian was unable to defeat the Black Fiend sect's Sun Rui, even if he had to sacrifice his reputation. But he never imagined that Duan Lingtian would actually kill Sun Rui so easily. Of course, he did not think that Sun Rui was killed by Duan Lingtian because he had lost his mind. From beginning to end, Duan Lingtian was calm and collected, which allowed him to see some clues. This Grandmaster had unimaginable means. Duan Lingtian, you really gave me a surprise. Qi Ming glanced at Duan Lingtian with a complicated expression. Then he announced the start of the Battle of Geniuses. For a moment, everyone's attention was diverted. The Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Genius Competition was one of the selections on the way to the martial competition of the 10 dynasties. It was a selection at the imperial level. As long as one was able to obtain one of the top 5 spots in this Genius Competition, one would be able to advance to the imperial selection. The 5 young geniuses that advanced from the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom would head to the Darkstone Empire to undergo the selection. Today, the most outstanding group of young geniuses of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom had gathered here precisely for the sake of those 5 positions. Duan Lingtian will surely occupy one of the 5 positions. Besides that, there's also Crazy Young Master, Sword Young Master, and Flame Young Master. In other words, there's only a single position that has fallen onto us. Many people whispered in discussion. Fortunately, Zither Young Master and Saber Young Master aren't present. Otherwise, I'm afraid we wouldn't even have the chance to compete for this final position. Even if Zither Young Master and Saber Young Master aren't present, do you think you can compete for that position? Don't forget there's still Chai Jin, Ji Feng, and Sima Yang. Besides Chai Jin's group of 3, there's also the young prince of Prince Sheng's estate, Zhang Heng, and flute fairy Ziyan. They're both void-prying stage martial artists. Looks like so long as it's a person that hasn't stepped into the void-prying stage today, there's practically no need to enter the arena. It's indeed so. The crowd of young geniuses couldn't help but sigh. Never mind, we'll just take it as watching the show. A person in the crowd spoke. His words quickly resonated with most of the people present. Jin, you must try your best to obtain that final position. The Black Fiend sect's supreme elder, Qiu Cheng, looked at Chai Jin who was by his side and said with a serious expression, if you're able to obtain this position, then our Black Fiend sect, as the recommendation party, will be able to obtain the reward of the imperial family. Don't worry, Master, so long as Zither Young Master and Saber Young Master don't come, I'm confident. Chai Jin hurriedly nodded with a face full of confidence. For the sake of efficiency. Young geniuses below the void-prying stage are considered to have automatically forfeited. If anyone has objections, you can challenge a void-prying stage martial artist, and so long as you're able to defeat your opponent, you can continue with the following selections. Qi Ming's gaze swept past the crowd of young geniuses present. No one had objections towards Qi Ming's words. There was indeed no need for martial artists below the void-prying stage to participate. Even if they participated, it would be impossible for them to obtain those 5 positions. Very good. When he saw no one had objections, Qi Ming nodded and then said, young geniuses at the void-prying stage or above, step out. Instantly, the few people including Duan Lingtian moved forward successively. A total of 9 people. Duan Lingtian, Luo Zhan, Chen Xiaoshui, Zhang Yin, Chai Jin, Ziyan Jifeng, Sima Yang and Zhang Heng. Qi Ming stood before the 9 of them and spoke slowly. Now Qi Ming didn't finish speaking in the end, because the people present were all attracted by the howling of the wind that sounded out from high above in the sky. The howling of the wind was exceedingly ear-piercing, and it was accompanied by a swift figure descending from the sky. This was a young man that emitted waves of peerlessly fierce aura from head to toe. It's the Saber Young Master. In next to no time, someone cried out in surprise. It's really the Saber Young Master Long Yun? He actually rushed over at this moment. Subsequently, many people recognized the person that had arrived. Long Yun. Duan Lingtian's gaze descended onto the person that had arrived, and his gaze was fierce. Besides being one of the 5 great young masters of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, the Saber Young Master, he was even the foster son of the former demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader. The demonic Lotus Blade sect was one of the main culprits in annihilating the 7-Star Sword sect. Even though Long Yun wasn't present when the 7-Star Sword sect was annihilated all those years ago. But because of the relationship between Long Yun and the former demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader, Duan Lingtian didn't have the slightest good impression of him. Swoosh. Long Yun descended from the sky and firmly descended onto the empty ground at the side. After not seeing him for a few years, Long Yun was even more mature than before. His pair of sharp eyes had an additional sense of age. In next to no time, when Duan Lingtian's spiritual force enveloped Long Yun, his expression instantly went pale. It was as if he'd seen something unbelievable. I'm probably not late, right? Long Yun looked at Qi Ming and spoke indifferently. Qi Ming shook his head. Saber Young Master. Meanwhile, the gazes of Luo Zhan, Chen Xiaoshui and Zhang Yin descended onto Long Yun. But Long Yun seemed to not have the slightest interest towards the 3 of them. His gaze descended onto Duan Lingtian, and his gaze was sharp. Duan Lingtian, I lost at your hands in the past. Today I'll wash away my humiliation. Duan Lingtian looked at Long Yun and said indifferently, looks like Saber Young Master has had a fortuitous encounter in these past few years. Long Yun frowned as his heart sank. Could it be that this Duan Lingtian has noticed something? Saber Young Master. Chai Jin's expression was unsightly to the extreme when he saw Long Yun. He originally thought that he would be able to obtain the last position today. But the arrival of Saber Young Master caused him to feel powerless. Chai Jin took a deep breath, and his eyes emitted a sheen of confidence. Saber Young Master is only ranked at the bottom of the 5 great young masters. He might not be a match for me. Even Saber Young Master has come. Looks like there's no suspense about the 5 positions to head to the Darkstone Empire. Many people sighed with emotion. Yeah, these 5 positions will surely be obtained by Duan Lingtian and 4 of the 5 great young masters. Many people approved of this. But in next to no time, the people present couldn't help but raise their heads. Whoosh! High above in the sky, another ear-piercing howl of the wind swept over. This was a red-colored figure. The person that arrived was completely enveloped in red clothes as he descended from the sky. The handsome young man in red clothes with slanted brows and starry eyes stood there like a sharp sword, and his sword chi was oppressive. Looks like I'm not late. The red-clothed young man was around the age of 27, and he muttered to himself. Who's he? I don't recognize him. I've never seen him before. The people present were all dumbstruck when they saw the red-clothed young man that suddenly descended. There's such a figure in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom? Avoid prying stage martial artist at such an age. In terms of natural talent, he's probably only inferior to Duan Lingtian in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Sword. The sword young master, Chen Xiaoshui, looked at the red-clothed young man, and his eyes emitted a fervent battle intent. He was able to discern that the red-clothed young man was a sword cultivator as well. Moreover, the red-clothed young man's attainments in sword force wasn't low. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the red-clothed young man to reveal such shocking sword chi. As for the older generation experts present, their expressions turned solemn. They'd all discerned that the red-clothed young man wasn't simple. In terms of strength, this red-clothed young man is probably not inferior to the 5 great young masters. Many people thought in their hearts. Another young expert has arrived. Chai Jin's face sank. The expressions of Zhang Heng and the others were unsightly as well. After all, Duan Lingtian and 4 of the 5 great young masters were already existences that were difficult to surpass to them. Now, another young expert with shocking strength had arrived. Moreover, in terms of natural talent and comprehension ability, he seemed to not be inferior to the 5 great young masters. It's you. Right at this moment, the saber young master, Long Yun, looked at the red-clothed young man and frowned. Martial Uncle Sword asked you to come? As soon as Long Yun said this, the people present went into an uproar. Saber young master knows him? Martial Uncle Sword? Could it be that he's from the Azure Forest Trisect? Wait. I've never heard of a figure with the name, Sword, in the Azure Forest Trisect. Who exactly is he? Most of the people present were completely unable to wrap their heads around it. Didn't Martial Uncle Saber ask you to come as well? Junior brother Long, the red-clothed young man looked at Long Yun and spoke indifferently. The way the red-clothed young man addressed Long Yun caused everyone present to be astounded. He's the senior brother of the saber young master? His age is obviously a few years younger than the saber young master. How could he? Many people were astounded. In next to no time, everyone noticed that the red-clothed young man's gaze had descended onto Duan Lingtian. The red-clothed young man's face that was originally tranquil revealed a rare wisp of a smile, and he looked at Duan Lingtian as if he'd seen an acquaintance. Duan Lingtian, long time no see. Chapter 553. Yeah, long time no see. Duan Lingtian recovered from his shock, and although his expression was calm, his eyes contained traces of excitement mixed within. Suli, I truly never imagined that we would meet again here. After a long time, Duan Lingtian faintly sighed. Suli. The red-clothed young man that appeared now wasn't someone else. It was precisely the friend that Duan Lingtian had made all those years ago in the Crimson Sky Kingdom. Duan Lingtian still remembered that the first time he met Suli was at the Ironblood Army's campsite in Ironblood City. At that time, Suli could be said to be the strongest young genius beneath him. Later on, Suli entered the Crimson Sky Kingdom's Paladin Academy with him, and they formed a deep friendship. After that, Suli was forced to leave by the Su clan's Grand Elder, and there was no news of him since then. Never had Duan Lingtian imagined that. When he met Suli again, it would actually be in the Imperial Palace of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Moreover, the current Suli actually possessed such a shocking cultivation. This was something that Duan Lingtian had never imagined. Duan Lingtian was able to guess it. Suli surely had a great fortuitous encounter in these past few years. Otherwise, it would be impossible for there to be such a great change. Suli? When they saw Duan Lingtian and the red-clothed young man being extremely familiar and seemed to have a good relationship, the people present were astounded. At the same time, they found out the name of the red-clothed young man. So it turned out that this young expert's name was Suli. Suli? Have all of you heard of this figure? I don't know him. I've never heard of him before today. When did such a figure appear in our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom? Not only does Saber Young Master know him, even Duan Lingtian knows him. Duan Lingtian seems to be extremely familiar with him. The surrounding crowd of spectators whispered in discussion. Subsequently, the people present saw this in astonishment. Swish. With a raise of his hand, a gold bill with a value of 10,000 appeared in Suli's hand. Along with Suli raising his hand, the gold bill flashed out to descend where Duan Lingtian stood. What's Suli doing? The crowd was stunned. Why did Suli give Duan Lingtian money? Ah! Duan Lingtian smiled and took the gold notes. He put them away inside. Suli, so many years have passed. I didn't expect you to still remember. At that time, Suli was pressured by the Su clan's Grand Elder. Before he left, he had borrowed 1,000,000 taels of silver from him. 1,000,000 taels of silver was equivalent to 10,000 taels of gold. Now Suli had returned what he owed back then. Of course I remember. Suli smiled as he spoke, and there seemed to be slight excitement in the depths of his eyes. Duan Ling, have you been well all these years? All right. Duan Lingtian nodded. What about you? I'm fine. Suli nodded and then he sighed. I guess that I might be able to encounter you in the genius competition of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Imperial Palace today? As expected. Duan Lingtian smiled. Your appearance is somewhat out of my expectations. Duan Lingtian, this is? Qi Ming looked at Duan Lingtian and asked in bewilderment. Qi Ming's question was also the question of everyone present. For a time, numerous gazes descended onto Duan Lingtian. Even the saber young master, Long Yun, frowned slightly as he looked at Duan Lingtian. How does this Duan Lingtian know this fellow, Suli? In the eyes of Long Yun, Suli had always been arrogant. Even if it was him, Su Li would presumably be disdainful. But before Duan Lingtian, this cold-faced Su Li seemed to have become a completely different person. Vice Dean Qi, this is my friend and he's from the same kingdom as me. Duan Lingtian said to Qi Ming. So that's how it is. Qi Ming came to a sudden understanding, and a bright light flashed within his eyes as he said with a smile, I never imagined that besides you and the 5 great young masters, there's such a genius figure within the territory of our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. You're too kind. Su Li nodded to Qi Ming, and his face returned to its cold appearance. This Su Li is actually a genius that came from the same kingdom as Duan Lingtian? Looks like there are crouching tigers and hidden dragons within the territory of our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Yeah, this person's natural talent feels to not be inferior to the 5 great young masters. The surrounding crowd of spectators sighed with emotion. Of course, many people had extremely unsightly expressions. These people were precisely Chai Jin and the others that were intending to compete for the final position. However, the appearance of Long Yun and Su Li caused them to feel a wave of powerlessness in their hearts. Damn it. Zhang Heng's expression was extremely gloomy. It's actually the friend of Duan Lingtian. Isn't he intentionally causing trouble at a time like this? There's also that saber young master Long Yun, he didn't appear any time, but just happened to appear at a time like this. Originally, Zhang Heng had hope in his heart that he would be able to obtain a position. But after Su Li and Long Yun appeared, he knew that he was bound to have no fate with those 5 positions. I never expected that saber young master would rush over in time. I presume there ought to be something to see in today's genius competition. Besides that, this Su Li is only slightly younger than Duan Lingtian amongst the crowd of void-prying stage martial artists. Most importantly, he's the senior brother of Saber Young Master. I can discern that Saber Young Master seems to be slightly afraid of this Su Li. Obviously, he's afraid of Su Li's strength. This Su Li isn't simple. I originally thought that Duan Lingtian, Crazy Young Master, Sword Young Master, and Flame Young Master would be able to firmly occupy 4 positions. Now with the addition of this variable, Saber Young Master and Su Li, I'm afraid there will be some changes. Only like this would it be interesting. Those young geniuses of the various powers below the void-prying stage wished for the world to be in chaos. To them, no matter if Saber Young Master and Su Li made an appearance today, they had no fate with those 5 positions. Now that Saber Young Master and Su Li had made an appearance, it was exactly what they wanted, and it caused them to be even happier. Because in this way the genius competition today would surely be even more interesting. This was something they were happy to see. Revered Elder Qi. Suddenly, Prince Xing took a step forward and looked at Qi Ming as he said with a low voice, this Saber Young Master and Su Li haven't passed through the threshold of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, and I'm afraid it's slightly inappropriate to directly participate in the genius competition now, right? Prince Sheng's words caused Chai Jin and the others to heave a sigh of relief. On the other hand, those young geniuses that wanted to watch the show frowned and were slightly worried. They were really worried that the imperial family would expel Saber Young Master and Su Li and not allow them to participate in the genius competition. In that way they would undoubtedly be slightly disappointed. For a time, the gazes of everyone descended onto Qi Ming. Qin Xi, what do you think? Qi Ming looked at the old man by his side and asked. This old man had come with Qi Ming, and he'd always stood silently by Qi Ming's side with his eyes closed in meditation and didn't speak. Now, Qi Ming's question caused the old man to slowly open his eyes. The old man glanced indifferently at Prince Sheng before saying, the Dragon and Phoenix Academy is actually only a formality. The genius competition this time is intended to unearth the most outstanding young geniuses of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom and fight on the path to the martial competition of the 10 dynasties. This is the original intention of the genius competition as well. So long as the 2 of them have the ability to seize those 5 positions, I presume even His Majesty the Emperor wouldn't say anything. The old man's words were reasonable. It caused most of the people present to sigh with admiration. Prince Sheng frowned. Revered Elder Qin, shouldn't we ask my imperial brother's opinion on this matter? There's no need. Practically at the instant Prince Sheng finished speaking, a sonorous voice sounded out abruptly from afar. Everyone present saw it. In the distant sky, a middle-aged man in dragon robes was flying over. Behind the middle-aged man in dragon robes was an old man that followed like a shadow, and the old man emitted an unfathomable aura as he stood there. 5th level of the Void Initiation Stage. 6th level of the Void Initiation Stage. Duan Lingtian's brows raised. His spiritual force detected the cultivations of the two people at the first possible moment. The middle-aged man in dragon robes in the lead was a 5th-level void initiation stage martial artist. The old man behind him was instead in existence at the 6th level of the void initiation stage. Presumably, he was one of the 5 great revered elders of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial family. As for the middle-aged man in dragon robes, "Your Majesty." Everyone present bowed to the middle-aged man in dragon robes, and many people even bowed and bent their knees to the point their heads almost touched the ground. Only Duan Lingtian, Su Li and Luo Rong stood ramrod straight, and they stood like cranes amongst chickens. The Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Duan Lingtian sized up the middle-aged man in dragon robes before him, and flowing lights flickered within his eyes. He was still slightly curious towards the Emperor of a dignified Imperial Kingdom. In terms of strength, that person from the Crimson Sky Kingdom is greatly inferior to this person. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. The Emperor of the Crimson Sky Kingdom was only an ordinary void-prying stage martial artist, whereas the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom was instead a formidable existence at the 5th level of the void initiation stage. The difference in strength between the two was like the difference between the heavens and the earth. Audacious. Right at this moment, a voice that was like a thunderclap sounded out by Duan Lingtian's ears. It was Prince Sheng who glared angrily at Duan Lingtian and Su Li, and he said with a cold voice, "Duan Lingtian, Su Li, why aren't you bowing when you see His Majesty the Emperor? Could it be that the two of you think that His Majesty doesn't have the qualifications to make the two of you bow?" Needless to say, Prince Sheng was indeed ruthless when he placed such a crime on Duan Lingtian and Su Li. Duan Lingtian frowned, and then he said indifferently, "Prince Sheng, His Majesty hasn't said anything yet you're shouting loudly here. Aren't you slightly looking down on His Majesty?" "You." Prince Sheng's face sank as he shouted out angrily, "Duan Lingtian, don't try to change the topic." "I'm changing the topic?" Duan Lingtian started laughing and wanted to continue refuting. Right at this moment, Luo Rong, who stood at the side, spoke out. "Prince Sheng, I think Brother Lingtian is right. His Majesty the Emperor hasn't said anything. What are you getting anxious for? Are you trying to use your position to avenge a private grudge?" Because Duan Lingtian had instructed him beforehand. So, Luo Rong didn't address Duan Lingtian as master before outsiders. Luo Rong speaking out to protect Duan Lingtian caused Prince Sheng to be slightly surprised. He was fearful and reverent towards Luo Rong. Now he didn't dare say anything. Guildmaster Luo. Chapter 554. Your Majesty, you're too kind. Luo Rong casually nodded. Even if he was facing the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, he was still composed. Whereas the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom wasn't displeased in the slightest. Even he had to be slightly fearful of the old man's identity. Subsequently, the gaze of the Emperor descended onto Duan Lingtian, and he nodded with a smile to Duan Lingtian. "Duan Lingtian, all those years ago when you defeated Saber Young Master during the martial competition of the 5 great sects and won first place, causing your name to spread throughout the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, I started paying attention to you." Duan Lingtian nodded, and his face was still calm like an ancient well without ripples. It was as if the person that stood before him wasn't the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, but an ordinary person. Not only was the Emperor not enraged when he saw Duan Lingtian's reaction, he nodded with satisfaction instead. Neither servile nor overbearing, it was indeed extraordinary. In next to no time, the Emperor's gaze descended onto Su Li and he lightly smiled. "Although I've never heard of you in the past since you're Duan Lingtian's friend and the senior brother of Saber Young Master, I presume you're not a simple figure. Today the arrival of you and Saber Young Master has caused the genius competition to become much more interesting. Even I was drawn over by the two of you. Originally, as far as the Emperor was concerned, of the 5 positions, Duan Lingtian, Crazy Young Master, Sword Young Master, and Flame Young Master would surely occupy one each. The remaining one would instead be born from the others. In other words, Duan Lingtian's group of 4 were practically unshakable existences. So, he was slightly disinterested towards the genius competition. But now, because of the appearance of Saber Young Master and Su Li, it caused him to seem as if he could see the following exciting scenes. 4 of the 5 great young masters, coupled with Duan Lingtian and Su Li, 6 people competing for the 5 positions. Amongst the 6 people, Every single one of them was a genius in the martial Tao that stood at the peak of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. The battle between the 6 of them would surely be extremely exciting. Even he was very interested in it. The Emperor had just finished speaking. Looks like His Majesty the Emperor wants Saber Young Master and Su Li to participate in the genius competition as well. His Majesty is truly wise. He knows how to choose the most outstanding 5 people. Looks like it's extremely likely that a young expert from an empire will appear in our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom this time. The people present deliberately lowered their voices and whispered to each other. Your Majesty. Right at this moment, the Supreme Elder of the Black Fiend sect, Qiu Cheng, respectfully bowed to the Emperor. The Emperor glanced at Qiu Cheng. Who are you? Qiu Cheng hastily said, Your Majesty, I'm the Supreme Elder of the Black Fiend sect, Qiu Cheng. What's the matter? The Emperor asked with a hint of impatience in his tone. As the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, he controlled the strongest power, the Imperial family. Not to mention a second-rate sect like the Black Fiend sect, even the 3 great sects that had merged together, the current Azure Forest Trisect. He didn't care about it at all. The strength of the Imperial family was supreme in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Otherwise, it would not be sufficient to rule the entire Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. In this world where the strong were respected, even the royal family had to have enough strength to rule over a kingdom, empire, or dynasty. Otherwise it would have been overthrown long ago. Your Majesty, I still have some matters to attend to in the Black Fiend sect, so I want to take my disciples and leave first. Qiu Cheng said. Obviously, when he saw the appearance of Saber Young Master and Su Li now, Qiu Cheng didn't place his hopes on Cai Jin any longer. He was extremely clear about Cai Jin's strength. It was impossible for Cai Jin to compare to Duan Lingtian, Su Li, and the other 4 of the 5 great young masters. Go on. The Emperor nodded indifferently. To him, the members of the Black Fiend sect were dispensable. Yes. Qiu Cheng nodded respectfully and instructed Cai Jin to carry Sun Rue's corpse before hastily leaving the imperial palace. His figure seemed to be lonely and in a sorry state. The Black Fiend sect's Cai Jin had officially withdrawn from the genius competition. Once Cai Jin left, the remaining Ji Feng and the others were slightly restless. I withdraw. Ji Feng knew his limits and retreated to the side. I withdraw as well. Sima Yang followed closely behind. Although the 2 of them had broken through to the first level of the void prying stage now, they hadn't completely comprehended force. Therefore they were very self-aware and withdrew from the competition. As far as they were concerned, if they were to stay, it would purely be looking for abuse and discomfort. I withdraw. The young prince of Prince Sheng's estate, Zhang Heng, spoke with a gloomy expression. For a time, besides Duan Lingtian's group of 6, only Flute Fairy remained. Flute Fairy didn't speak, but she'd instead retreated to the side. She'd used her actions to explain everything. She withdrew as well. Brother, will you return? Flute Fairy looked up into the sky with slight anticipation when she saw Saber Young Master had appeared. But up until Qi Ming announced the start of the genius competition, she didn't see Zither Young Master's figure. Today's genius competition will decide on the strongest 5 people amongst the 6 of you, and they'll obtain 5 quotas to head to the Darkstone Empire. Qi Ming looked at Duan Lingtian's group of 6 and said slowly, This is your chance to make a name for yourself in the Darkstone Empire. I hope all of you don't miss it. Subsequently, Qi Ming started announcing the rules. Every single one of the 6 of you will face 5 battles. Now all of you can draw lots and obtain a lot that belongs to you. As Qi Ming spoke, a box with a small gap appeared in his hand. The small gap on this box only allowed an adult's arm to stretch in. It was precisely the lottery box. There are lots 1 to 6 within it. The person that draws lot 1 can choose any one of the people after lot 1 as their first target and undergo the first battle of the genius competition. Besides being unable to choose the person that drew lot 1 and the person that drew lot 1 challenged, the person that drew lot 2 can choose any one of the remaining 3 people. Besides being unable to choose the person that drew lot 2 and the person that drew lot 2 challenged, the person that drew lot 3 can choose any one of the remaining 3 people. The people behind you will be deduced in this way. The specific rules are that you can't challenge the 2 people that have fought in the previous battle, and leave room for those 2 people to rest. Qi Ming slowly finished speaking. These rules weren't complicated. Duan Lingtian's group of 6 quickly understood. Subsequently, it was time to draw lots. Duan Lingtian drew lot 3. Qin Shaoshui drew lot 1. Zhang Yin drew lot number 2. Long Yun drew lot number 4. Luo Zhan drew lot 5. Su Li drew lot number 6. The first battle was started by the person that drew lot 1, Sword Young Master Qin Shao Shuai. Under the numerous gazes, Qin Shao Shuai's gaze flashed past Duan Ling Tian and the others. His gaze didn't stop on Duan Ling Tian and Luo Zhan. In the end, Qin Shao Shuai chose his target. I challenged the person that drew lot 2, Flame Young Master. Qin Shao Shuai's gaze descended onto Zhang Yin, and his body was filled with battle intent. Flame Young Master was ranked second amongst the 5 great young masters. Besides Luo Zhan, he was the other person that was ranked before him amongst the 4 of the 5 great young masters present. Sword Young Master, wanting to step on me to rise isn't an easy matter. Zhang Yin grunted coldly as he spoke. Whether it's an easy matter or not, you'll only know after you try. Qin Shao Shuai glanced indifferently at Zhang Yin as he spoke with a calm tone. Since you want to seek humiliation, then I'll fulfill your wish. Zhang Yin took a step forward, and the origin energy on his body raged as he stood out to stand in confrontation with Qin Shao Shuai. For a time, the gazes of everyone present descended onto the 2 of them. Sword Young Master against Flame Young Master. Most people held their breaths. Whoosh. Along with the origin energy on Zhang Yan's body skyrocketing, 6,000 lifelike ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form in the sky. 4th level of the void prying stage? Duan Ling Tian frowned. He still remembered that half a month ago, he'd once used his spiritual force to detect Zhang Yan's cultivation. At that time, Zhang Yan was only at the 3rd level of the void prying stage. It had only been half a month and Zhang Yan had broken through? Duan Ling Tian was able to notice that even the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, the Imperial Father of Flame Young Master, had a surprised expression now. Obviously, he just found out that his son had broken through to the 4th level of the void prying stage. 4th level of the void prying stage. Luo Zhan's face went slightly serious and his heart shook. Sword Young Master is in danger. Sword Young Master, I'll let you know that even if you've comprehended half-step advanced sword force and I haven't comprehended half-step advanced water force, I'm similarly able to crush a 3rd level void prying stage martial artist like you with a cultivation at the 4th level of the void prying stage. Zhang Yan's words were extremely arrogant. Obviously, he knew Qin Shao Shuai's ability very well. 3rd level of the void prying stage? Unexpectedly, Qin Shao Shuai started laughing when he heard Zhang Yan. Whoosh. Along with Qin Shao Shuai laughing, the origin energy on his body raged. 6,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared in the sky as well. Sword Young Master has broken through to the 4th level of the void prying stage as well. Instantly, the surrounding crowd of spectators were in an uproar. This fellow, Duan Ling Tian and Luo Zhan were slightly dazed when they saw this scene. They never imagined that Sword Young Master had actually broken through as well. He was still at the 3rd level of the void prying stage yesterday. Could it be that he broke through overnight? Duan Ling Tian was shocked in his heart. He still remembered that his spiritual force had imperceptibly flashed past Qin Shao Shuai yesterday, and he confirmed that Qin Shao Shuai was still a 3rd level void prying stage martial artist. It had only been a single night, yet Qin Shao Shuai had already broken through to the 4th level of the void prying stage. It was shocking. You've actually broken through as well. Zhang Yan's face went grim. Sword Young Master breaking through meant that he was unable to suppress Sword Young Master in terms of origin energy any longer. Not only that, Sword Young Master had comprehended half-step advanced sword force long ago. In terms of comprehension towards force, he was inferior to Sword Young Master. Whoosh. No matter how unsightly Zhang Yan's expression was, Sword Young Master had made the first move in the end. His figure flashed out like the wind, and he arrived before Zhang Yan in the blink of an eye. Swish. His sword stabbed out menacingly as if it had the help of the gods. Umph. Zhang Yan grunted angrily, and he'd already made a decision in his heart. He wanted to use a grade 5 spirit weapon to defeat Sword Young Master. As far as he was concerned. Chapter 555. Along with a spirit weapon glove appearing out of thin air on Zhang Yan's right hand, origin energy raged within it. In the sky, 2,200 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared out of thin air at the side of the 6,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes. Swish. Instantly, Zhang Yan pointed out with his finger, and the condensed origin energy finger force shot out. A piercing howl exploded out. In the surroundings of the origin energy finger force, there was a strand of strange aura. That was the aura of elementary force. Meanwhile, another 200 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared out of thin air in the sky above Zhang Yan. This finger force contained the strength of 8,400 ancient mammoths. Bang! Zhang Yan's finger force instantly annihilated the origin energy on the spirit sword in Qin Shaoshuai's hand. Terrifying energy gushed into the sword. Instantly, Qin Shaoshuai's hand that held the sword trembled, and the web between his thumb and index fingers split open and dripped with fresh blood. Even if he'd comprehended half-step advanced sword force, the spirit sword in his hand was only a grade 6 spirit sword after all. Compared to the grade 5 spirit weapon in Zhang Yan's hand, it lacked an entire 10% amplification. When the origin energy of a 4th-level void-prying stage martial artist exploded out, it was comparable to the strength of 6,000 ancient mammoths. Whereas a 10% amplification was equivalent to the strength of 600 ancient mammoths. Flame Young Master Zhang Yan relied on a grade 5 spirit weapon, elementary force, and his strength to surpass Sword Young Master's ability. Of course, all of this was because Zhang Yan had an advantage in terms of spirit weapon. Otherwise, it wouldn't be Sword Young Master that lost. Sword Young Master, thank you for letting me win. Zhang Yan smiled indifferently. As far as he was concerned, unless Qin Shaoshuai possessed a grade 5 spirit weapon as well. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Qin Shaoshuai to be a match for him. Qin Shaoshuai had a grim expression, and although he was unwilling, he intended to withdraw. Right when Duan Lingtian intended to lend his sword to Qin Shaoshuai. Sword Young Master. With a raise of his hand, a spirit sword flew out from Luo Rong's hand and flashed directly towards Qin Shaoshuai. Qin Shaoshuai stretched out his hand to catch it, then looked at Luo Rong with a bewildered expression. Guild Master Luo, this is? This grade 5 spirit sword is the second work of mine after I became a grade 5 weapons craftsman. I'll give it to you. Luo Rong's tone was casual as if he was giving away something of no importance. Grade 5 weapons craftsman? Luo Rong's words caused an uproar as expected. Except for Duan Lingtian and Luo Zhan, who had already known about it, the others, except for Su Li, who was relatively calm, were all dumbfounded. Oh, President Luo, you're a grade 5 weapons craftsman now? The Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's emperor lost his composure as he asked. Luo Rong nodded. I broke through not long ago. Congratulations, President Luo. Hearing Luo Rong's confirmation, the emperor hurriedly congratulated him. Congratulations, President Luo. The others followed suit and congratulated him. A grade 5 weapons craftsman that belonged to the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom had finally been born. Some people looked at Luo Rong with burning eyes as if they wanted to swallow him whole. They were well aware of what it meant to be a 5th grade blacksmith. So long as a grade 5 weapons craftsman was willing, he could refine numerous grade 5 spirit weapons. Thank you, President Luo. Qin Shaoshuai's eyes lit up, and when he realized that Luo Rong had given him a grade 5 spirit sword, his mood surged. As for Zhang Yan, his expression changed greatly. Whoosh! Zhang Yan's figure moved like a bolt of lightning as he shot towards Qin Shaoshuai. Swish! Another origin energy point force whistled out. A piercing howl sounded out. This point force had exhausted the strength in his entire body. Obviously, Zhang Yan wanted to catch Qin Shaoshuai off guard and heavily injure him before he could react. Only in this way would he have a chance to obtain victory. Otherwise, the Sword Young Master who possessed a grade 5 spirit sword to rely on was absolutely not someone he could go against now. A wisp of worry flashed within Duan Lingtian's eyes when he saw this scene. At practically the instant Zhang Yan attacked, Qin Shaoshuai grunted lightly and moved instantly. Swoosh! His figure was the first to flash to the side. Whereas Zhang Yan's origin energy point force flashed past his sleeve and left behind a hole on it. The force of the origin energy point force didn't reduce in the slightest as it fiercely smashed onto the ground, causing the limestone tiles on the ground to shatter into pieces, causing stone fragments to flutter in the air. Zhang Yan's reaction was extremely swift, and at practically the instant Qin Shaoshuai dodged, he pointed out once more. Swish! The origin energy point force flashed out once more. It seemed as if it wouldn't stop until it suppressed Qin Shaoshuai. Zhang Yan, I'll let you have a taste of the might of a grade 5 spirit weapon as well. Qin Shaoshuai shouted out coldly, and the grade 5 spirit sword in his hand instantly struck out. Instantly, 2,900 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared out of thin air beside the 6,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes in the sky above him. This amplification strength even surpassed the amplification strength of Zhang Yan's grade 5 spirit weapon. Coupled with the half-step advanced sword force he'd comprehended. Not to mention his strength and the amplification strength of his spirit weapon. Merely in terms of force, he was stronger than Zhang Yan by the strength of 300 ancient mammoths. Now, when the amplification strength of his spirit weapon was added with the difference of the strength of 100 ancient mammoths, the strength of the sword in Chen Xiaoshuai's hand was an entire 400 ancient mammoths more than the strength of Chen Xiaoshuai's finger. A difference of 400 ancient mammoths. This difference was like a chasm. The battle experience of both of them were almost on par. The difference in strength caused this battle to have no suspense. Sword Young Master Chen Xiaoshuai relied on his strength that surpassed Flame Young Master Zhang Yan to defeat Zhang Yan, turning defeat into victory. The might of the Grade 5 Spirit Sword was clearly visible. I've lost. Zhang Yan was slightly dazed. Whereas the attention of the other people wasn't on the outcome of this battle. Besides Duan Lingtian, Luo Rong and Luo Zhan, including the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, the gazes of everyone else descended onto the Grade 5 Spirit Sword in Chen Xiaoshuai's hand in unison. Sword Young Master's Grade 5 Spirit Sword seems to be able to amplify strength by 49%. Someone suddenly exclaimed in astonishment. This voice caused everyone that was dazed to return to their senses. A Grade 5 Spirit Sword that provides an amplification of 49% is undoubtedly a top-grade Grade 5 Spirit weapon. This Grade 5 Spirit Sword was refined by Guild Master Luo? Even if it's the Grade 5 weapons craftsmen of the Darkstone Empire or Dark Han Dynasty, they might not be able to refine a Grade 5 spirit weapon that possesses such a strong amplification strength. Guild Master Luo's attainments in the Tao of weapons refinement are truly terrifying. He's only just become a Grade 5 weapons craftsman, yet he's able to refine such an outstanding Grade 5 spirit sword. Numerous burning gazes descended onto Luo Rong as expected. This was a weapons craftsman that was able to refine a Grade 5 spirit weapon that provided an amplification of 49%. Guild Master Luo, even the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom had slightly lost his composure now. When he felt the numerous respectful gazes from the surroundings, Luo Rong inadvertently glanced at Duan Lingtian, and he had a complicated gaze. Who would have imagined that? The reason he was able to become a Grade 5 weapons craftsman in such a short period of time and had great confidence in being able to refine a Grade 5 spirit weapon that provided an amplification of 49%. All of this was due to this young man's contribution. Before this young man, the respect of the surrounding people, he was undeserving of it. Guild Master Luo, our He clan wishes to ask you to refine a Grade 5 spirit weapon for us. In the future, if Guild Master Luo has any orders, our He clan will surely not hesitate to go through water or tread on fire. Our Tong clan as well. And our Wu clan as well. For a time, the drill grounds were completely bustling with noise and excitement. For the sake of making Luo Rong refine a Grade 5 spirit weapon for them, the various powers were willing to pay an extremely great price. But Luo Rong utterly looked down upon them. As the Guild Master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild, would he lack lackeys? Everyone. Suddenly Luo Rong spoke out. So long as you're able to find any one of these two medicinal materials, I'm willing to refine a Grade 5 spirit weapon as thanks. As Luo Rong spoke, he raised his hand. Along with Luo Rong's origin energy, numerous milky white threads formed in the air, and in the end they weaved into two diagrams. The first diagram was an oval-shaped leaf. The surroundings of the leaf had a distinct outline, and it was extremely similar to the wings of the legendary divine beast, the phoenix. This is the phoenix wing herb, an extremely rare medicinal material. Luo Rong introduced. Subsequently, Luo Rong introduced the second medicinal material. This is the ageless root, and it's similar to the sharp claw of the phoenix of legend. The other diagram was in the shape of a tree root and was similar to the claw of a phoenix. Guildmaster Luo, so long as we find any one of these two medicinal materials, are you really willing to refine a Grade 5 spirit weapon for us? A patriarch of a reputable clan in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom asked with slight excitement. Of course, I, Luo Rong, keep my word. Luo Rong nodded. Instantly, the gazes of many people present lit up. Guildmaster Luo, may I know why you're looking for these two medicinal materials? The Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom asked curiously. The others looked at Luo Rong as well. Even the dignified Guild Master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild was unable to find these two medicinal materials, and they were obviously not ordinary things. I was only entrusted with it by someone. Luo Rong spoke indifferently. Entrusted with it by someone? Many people were dumbstruck when they heard Luo Rong, who possessed such great honor to make the dignified guild master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild, not hesitate to use a grade 5 spirit weapon as the price to exchange for those 2 medicinal materials. Presently, even Luo Zhan had a bewildered expression. He didn't know about this matter. Presently, only Duan Lingtian maintained his composure amongst the people present, and he had a carefree expression. Because the Phoenix Wing Herb and Ageless Root were precisely what he'd asked Luo Rong to help him find. The Phoenix Wing Herb and Ageless Root were precisely the 2 auxiliary medicinal catalysts required to refine the rebirth pill. But now that Luo Rong spoke of this matter here, it was slightly unexpected to him. With a quick thought, he guessed Luo Rong's intentions. Today, Luo Rong had made such a promise before the members of the various powers of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. It probably wouldn't be long before this matter would spread throughout the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. At that time, there would be a group of people in the entire Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom that would madly search for these 2 medicinal materials for the sake of obtaining a grade 5 spirit weapon. As expected, the older the wiser. Duan Lingtian was sincerely convinced. Next, because the possessor of lot number 2 has just been challenged, it's the turn of the possessor of lot number 3. Qi Ming's voice sounded out abruptly. The possessor of lot number 2 was precisely Zhang Yan, and he just fought with Chen Xiaoshui. Whereas the possessor of lot number 3 was precisely Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian stood out and became the center of attention. Who will Duan Lingtian challenge? Chapter 556. Duan Lingtian stood there and became the center of attention. Everyone was curious who Duan Lingtian would choose as his opponent. Finally, Duan Lingtian's gaze swept past Su Li, Long Yun, and Luo Zhan one by one. Luo Zhan. In the end, his gaze stopped on Luo Zhan. Duan Lingtian is challenging Luo Zhan? Many people were dumbstruck. Never had they imagined that Duan Lingtian would challenge Luo Zhan. Especially the group of young geniuses from the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, they knew of the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Luo Zhan. Luo Zhan was friends with Duan Lingtian. Unlike the shock of the others, Luo Zhan wasn't surprised in the slightest. Along with numerous gazes moving from Duan Lingtian to Luo Zhan. I admit defeat. Luo Zhan spoke indifferently with a calm expression. It was as if winning or losing was nothing to him. In fact, so long as anyone was able to win a battle in the genius competition this time, they would be able to obtain a position to head to the Darkstone Empire. After all, there were only 6 people competing for 5 positions. Most of the people present were slightly surprised when they saw Luo Zhan admit defeat. These people were the people that thought that the reason the Black Fiend sect's Sun Rue had died at the hands of Duan Lingtian was because Sun Rue had gone mad. Some other people that knew of Duan Lingtian's ability didn't feel surprised. As far as they were concerned, even the 6th level void prying stage Sun Rue had died at the hands of Duan Lingtian. It was impossible for the crazy young master Luo Zhan to be a match for Duan Lingtian. Since it's like this, then the possessor of lot number 3, Duan Lingtian, is considered to have won this battle. Qi Ming nodded and then he said, "Now, the possessor of lot number 4, please enter the arena. You can choose anyone. Any one of them." Qi Ming's words were extremely clear. The possessor of lot number 4 could challenge Duan Lingtian or Luo Zhan. After all, the 2 of them hadn't fought and didn't exhaust their strength. The possessor of lot number 4 was precisely the saber young master Long Yun. Long Yun stepped out, his gaze that was fierce like a blade practically didn't look at anyone else, and it directly descended onto Duan Lingtian as he said with a grim voice, "Duan Lingen, you should return what you owed me all those years ago." Duan Lingtian smiled and shrugged as he said indifferently, "If you're confident, then feel free to bring it on." Deliberately mystifying things. Long Yun's gaze was slightly cold as he stepped out with an imposing aura that shot into the sky like a rainbow. At the instant he stepped out, the origin energy on his body raged and emitted a peerlessly fierce aura. At this moment, Long Yun's S of the Lingtian Yun by Duan Lingtian Wush. Long Shui's attentions of Lingtian Yun Lingtian's by S Lingtian, S 5th level. Long Lingtian Yun was shocked was Yun of Long Lingtian. No one had imagined that the saber young master, Long Yun, had actually already broken through to the 5th level of the void prying stage now. He was an existence that was ranked at the bottom amongst the 5 great young masters. The expressions of the other 3 of the 5 great young masters including Crazy Young Master, Sword Young Master and Flame Young Master sank. Never had they imagined that. The saber young master that was suppressed beneath them in the past had actually surpassed them now. Especially flame young master Zhang Yan. As the number 2 amongst the 5 great young masters, he was first defeated by the sword young master that was ranked at the 4th, and now he saw the saber young master reveal a cultivation at the 5th level of the void prying stage. Shame and indignation arose in his heart. Zither young master Zishang has a mysterious and unfathomable master. His current accomplishments won't be inferior to me. Could it be that I'm bound to be in existence at the bottom amongst the 5 great young masters? Zhang Yan shook his head ceaselessly, unwilling to believe that all this was true. He was the 3rd prince of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, a genius favored by the heavens. The person with the strongest natural talent in the younger generation of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial family. He shouldered the honor of the imperial family. He wasn't someone that anyone could step on. Unknowingly, Zhang Yan's fists were tightly clenched together, and strands of light blue-colored energy flickered on his body. Suddenly, the blue-colored energy trembled and underwent a slight change. It was precisely this slight change that caused Zhang Yan to abruptly awaken, and his eyes lit up with a dazzling bright light. My force has stepped into the half-step advanced stage? Zhang Yan's heart shook, and he revealed an expression of wild joy. But unfortunately, the attention of most people was currently on the saber young master Long Yun. Very few people noticed the 500 ancient mammoth silhouettes that flashed in the sky above Zhang Yan. Half-step advanced force? Duan Lingtian's brows raised. His acute spiritual force allowed him to notice the change in Zhang Yan at the first possible moment. This flame young master has some ability, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. As for the fact that saber young master was a 5th-level void prying stage martial artist, he wasn't surprised. Early on when Saber Young Master had just appeared, his spiritual force had already detected Saber Young Master's current cultivation. A spirit saber suddenly appeared in Saber Young Master's hand, and his origin energy skyrocketed. In the sky above him, 9,600 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form and accumulated force while waiting to attack, at practically the exact same moment. A dim light flashed in the depths of Duan Lingtian's eyes. His spiritual force fused into the soul brand in the depths of his soul. 1,000 illusions. At the first possible moment, Duan Lingtian executed his soul skill. Saber Young Master has actually broken through to the 5th level of the void prying stage. Looks like Duan Lingtian is going to suffer. Yeah, unless Saber Young Master has gone mad like the Black Fiend sect's Sun Rue. Otherwise Duan Lingtian will lose for sure. Duan Lingtian was only lucky in the battle with Sun Rue. The surrounding crowd of spectators whispered in discussion. Of course, there were also people that knew of Duan Lingtian's ability, and they felt that there was no suspense in this battle. Saber Young Master breaking through to the 5th level of the void prying stage is truly shocking. But, encountering Duan Lingtian can only be considered as his own misfortune. Luo Zhan and Qin Xiao Shui looked at each other as they spoke via voice transmission. I truly never imagined that amongst us 5 great young masters, it was actually him who's ranked at the end that was the first to break through to the 5th level of the void prying stage. Qin Xiao Shui's gaze was extremely complicated. Duan Lingtian. Along with Saber Young Master Long Yun shouting out explosively, his entire body seemed to have transformed into a gust of wind that charged towards Duan Lingtian menacingly. Along with the spirit saber in his hand spinning out, it transformed into a demonic lotus, and strands of peerlessly fierce aura appeared on it. It was the aura of force. Right at this moment, 500 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared in the sky above Long Yun. Half-step advanced saber force. In practically an instant, the 500 ancient mammoth silhouettes that had just appeared fused into one with the other 9,000+ ancient mammoth silhouettes. They transformed into an ancient horned dragon silhouette. Obviously, Long Yun's current saber strike contained the strength of an ancient horned dragon. Half-step advanced saber force. At practically the instant Long Yun attacked, the pupils of the people that saw through the saber force Long Yun executed couldn't help but constrict. Not only does this Saber Young Master's cultivation surpass Crazy Young Master, Sword Young Master and Flame Young Master, even his comprehension of force isn't inferior to them. I originally thought that Saber Young Master had a fortuitous encounter and might have obtained something like a spirit fruit to possess such a shocking cultivation. His comprehension of force ought to be far inferior to Crazy Young Master and the others. Now it would seem that I've underestimated Saber Young Master. A few years ago, Saber young master had once lost at the hands of Duan Lingtian. Today he ought to be able to wash away his shame. Many people sighed with emotion. But in next to no time their expressions went grim. They became dumbstruck. The pupils of everyone present constricted in practically an instant. Heavens! What did we see? The saber in Long Yun's hand carried the might to split apart a mountain and was about to descend onto Duan Lingtian. Right at this moment. Swoosh! Long Yun abruptly changed direction with his saber in hand, and his figure flashed towards the other side. Boom! The origin energy on the grade 6 spirit saber in Long Yun's hand skyrocketed abruptly, and when looked at from afar, the entire spirit saber seemed to have expanded and transformed into an enormous saber. Demonic lotus blade technique. The enormous saber left his hand and transformed into an enormous lotus flower that flashed out to collide with a stone block at the side of the drill grounds. Instantly, the stone block was directly minced into pieces, and only stone fragments that covered the sky remained. The people present were completely dumbstruck when they saw the scene before them, and they were speechless. Within their field of vision, the saber young master, Long Yun, was no different than the Black Fiend sect's Sun Rue from before. Both of them took the initiative to move aside Duan Lingtian and attack the empty space at the side. Could it be that saber young master has gone mad as well? Isn't this too much of a coincidence? The surrounding people looked at each other with astounded expressions. Everything before their eyes caused them to have the feeling as if they were dreaming. Never mind that the Black Fiend sect's Sun Rue had gone mad. Now, saber young master had gone mad as well? Was there such a coincidence in this world? I remember now. Suddenly, a student from the Dragon and Phoenix Academy exclaimed in shock. After successfully drawing the gazes of many people, he said with a terrified expression, "According to my knowledge, Flute Fairy had once said that Duan Lingtian knew demonic techniques 1 year ago. At that time, Flute Fairy seemed to have lost herself in Duan Lingtian's demonic technique and was unable to extricate herself. But at that time, we all thought that Flute Fairy was cooperating with Duan Lingtian to put on a show, and we didn't take it seriously. Now that I think about it, perhaps all of this is related to each other." As soon as this person finished speaking, it caused the numerous students from the Dragon and Phoenix Academy to resonate. I remember now as well. Demonic technique. Duan Lingtian has surely used demonic techniques. This demonic technique is too terrifying. Even Sun Rue, a dignified 6th level void prying stage existence, was actually unable to escape. Even a 6th level void prying stage existence was affected by Duan Lingtian's technique. Saber young master is only at the 5th level of the void prying stage, so it's naturally difficult for him to escape. Under the gazes of the group of people, Duan Lingtian walked out in large strides and easily stood behind saber young master Long Yun. Subsequently, Duan Lingtian casually swung up his arm. Swoosh! His arm smashed out, and he only used less than half of his strength to fiercely blast saber young master who wasn't on guard at all flying. Subsequently, Long Yun fell to the ground in a sorry state, and he was covered in dirt. Meanwhile, he recovered from his shock. Chapter 557. No. Impossible. Duan Lingtian, weren't you heavily injured by me to the point you didn't have the strength to continue fighting? How could you be fine? Everything before his eyes caused Long Yun to not dare believe it, and his expression was unsightly to the extreme. Now he even suspected that he was dreaming. Duan Lingtian looked at Long Yun with a calm expression and said indifferently, "Saber young master, we haven't seen each other for a few years, yet you've only improved so little?" Duan Lingtian's words infuriated Long Yun. "Duan Lingtian, let me see how you block another strike of mine." Because Duan Lingtian had held back, Long Yun didn't suffer any injuries, and he stood up as if he'd transformed into a demon beast that pounced towards Duan Lingtian once more. Thousand illusions. Duan Lingtian had a calm expression, and dim lights flickered in the depths of his gaze. He constructed an illusory space once more and enveloped Long Yun within it. Long Yun was once again lost within it. Bang! Duan Lingtian smashed out with his arm once more, and this time he used quite a bit of strength to cause Long Yun to temporarily lose the strength to continue fighting. Long Yun lay on the ground and struggled for a while before barely standing up. The gaze he shot at Duan Lingtian once more contained slight terror. "Duan Lingtian, what exactly did you do?" Long Yun's voice contained traces of trembling mixed within. When he thought of the successive scenes that had occurred earlier, he had a feeling as if he'd been possessed. If it wasn't for him being possessed, would he be played around with in the palm of Duan Lingtian's hand like this? Earlier, he'd obviously already heavily injured Duan Lingtian twice in succession, causing Duan Lingtian to lose the strength to continue fighting. But when he recovered from his shock, he instead noticed that Duan Lingtian was completely unharmed. This was difficult for him to accept. Long Yun, you should rejoice. That day my 7-star sword sect was annihilated by the Azure Forest Trisect, and you weren't amongst them. Otherwise you'd surely die today. Duan Lingtian stared at Long Yun as his eyes flickered with frightening cold lights. It caused Long Yun to feel a chill run down his spine and feel a wave of panic. Duan Lingtian's demonic technique is too terrifying. Yeah, it's simply impossible to guard against. The surrounding crowd of spectators all revealed expressions of fear. Demonic technique? Interesting. The Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Emperor revealed a light smile. If Duan Lingtian doesn't die, then he'll surely be a great calamity to my Prince Sheng's estate. The depths of Prince Sheng's eyes was filled extreme killing intent. Sun Heng, who stood beside him, gnashed his teeth. Why is this Duan Lingtian so strong? The heavens. Duan Lingtian, T-test. Why? Teet to Ling, long, Teet long Duan Lingtian. Su Li silently looked at Duan Lingtian, and a smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. As Duan Lingtian's friend. When he saw Duan Lingtian's current accomplishments, he felt happy for Duan Lingtian. Vice Dean Qi. Duan Lingtian looked at Qi Ming. Duan Lingtian is victorious in this battle. The possessor of lot number 5 will enter the arena in the next battle. Qi Ming announced. The possessor of lot number 5, Luo Zhan, entered the arena. Crazy young master is entering the arena. I wonder who he'll choose. The surrounding crowd of spectators looked curiously at Luo Zhan. Luo Zhan's gaze flashed past Qin Shao Shuai, Zhang Yan and Su Li. In the end, his gaze locked onto Su Li. Su Li. Luo Zhan's eyes were filled with battle intent. Su Li, an unknown figure. Before today, he didn't even know that there was such a figure in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. However, the sword Qi Su Li inadvertently emitted caused him to realize that Su Li wasn't simple. At least, Su Li wasn't inferior to Sword Young Master and Flame Young Master. Su Li walked out in large strides to stand in confrontation with Luo Zhan, and he nodded indifferently to Luo Zhan. His face was still cold. This fellow? Duan Lingtian shook his head and smiled when he saw this scene. Su Li was still the same as before. He liked to act cool. At this moment, he felt as if he'd returned to the days in the Crimson Sky Kingdom's Paladin Academy a few years ago. I truly never imagined that Su Li's departure all those years ago would actually cause him to possess such a shocking cultivation. Duan Lingtian sighed in his heart. Meanwhile, Luo Zhan had already made a move in the drill grounds. His strength at the 4th level of the Void Prying stage exploded out completely, and his half-step advanced fire force followed like a shadow. There was also a grade 5 spirit spear. Swoosh. Luo Zhan's spear stabbed out like a WRM leaving its lair, and it pierced the airflow to the point it transformed into ripples that swept out like ripples. This spear flashed directly towards Su Li. In the sky, the energy of heaven and earth roiled. In the end, it condensed into over 9,400 ancient mammoth silhouettes that dashed out along with the spear. Su Li didn't have the slightest reaction when faced with Luo Zhan's spear that approached menacingly. He stood on the spot without moving like a mountain. Could it be that Su Li has been scared silly? Right when similar thoughts arose in the hearts of many people. Luo Zhan's spear was about to descend onto Su Li. Right at this moment. Su Li moved. Whoosh. Su Li abruptly raised his hand and pressed 2 fingers together to form a sword finger, and his origin energy raged out. Su Li's origin energy was thick and vast. Along with the origin energy on Su Li's sword finger condensing into a 3-foot-long blade, 8,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared in the sky above him. 6th level of the Void Prying stage. Instantly, besides Duan Lingtian and Long Yun's expressions that remained unchanged, the expressions of everyone present went grim. Su Li's age looked to be around 27. His cultivation was at the 6th level of the Void Prying stage? This natural talent simply completely surpassed the 5 great young masters of their Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Swish. With a raise of his hand, the 3-foot-long blade condensed from origin energy on Su Li's sword finger shot out violently. At the same time, strands of extremely sharp and strange aura leaped about on the 3-foot-long blade. As soon as this aura appeared, it caused the airflow in the sky to tremble. Whereas in the sky, Another 2,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared beside the 8,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes. Advanced sword force. This time even Duan Lingtian couldn't help but be shocked. He detected Su Li's cultivation with his spiritual force long ago. But the sword force Su Li had comprehended was something he didn't know in the slightest before this. Never had he imagined it. Many years later, when he saw Su Li once again, Su Li wasn't just a 6th-level void-prying stage martial artist, he'd even comprehended advanced sword force. Swish. After the sword condensed from origin energy in Su Li's hand contained advanced sword force, it contained the strength of an ancient horned dragon. It completely crushed the strength of Luo Zhan's grade 5 spirit spear. Bang! The sword in Su Li's hand touched the grade 5 spirit spear in Luo Zhan's hand, and it easily blasted Luo Zhan back and injured him. The scene was deathly silent. Luo Zhan stared blankly at the grade 5 spirit spear in his hand, and his face was covered in bitterness. He never imagined that it would be such an outcome when he utilized the grade 5 spirit spear his grandfather refined for the first time. Of course, he knew that this was an unchangeable fact. Even if he possessed a grade 4 or grade 3 spirit weapon, he might not be a match for Su Li. Su Li didn't use a spirit weapon. Merely his origin energy and advanced sword force was sufficient to exert the strength of an ancient horned dragon. If he utilized a spirit weapon, Su Li's strength would undoubtedly be even more terrifying. In terms of strength, Su Li far surpassed him. Thank you for letting me win. Su Li nodded to Luo Zhan before withdrawing. Presently, the gazes of practically everyone present had descended onto Su Li. They never imagined that this unknown young man actually possessed such a terrifying strength. Su Li's natural talent is simply almost comparable to Duan Lingtian. Birds of a feather flock together as expected. Not only is this Su Li a friend of Duan Lingtian, he's also a freak like Duan Lingtian. A wave of discussion sounded out from the surrounding crowd. Su Li, I never imagined that you've actually comprehended advanced sword force. Congratulations. Duan Lingtian smiled as he looked at Su Li. Su Li replied with a smile, and his eyes emitted battle intent. Duan Lingtian, I wasn't a match for you many years ago. But the current me isn't the past me any longer. Although Su Li didn't say it clearly, his words revealed the intention of challenging Duan Lingtian. Su Li, you might not be a match for me. Duan Lingtian smiled. As far as he was concerned. With his current 6th-level void-prying stage spiritual force, once he executed his soul skill, 1,000 illusions, Su Li would surely be struck. After all, Su Li wasn't an inscription master. I'll only know after I try. Su Li smiled confidently. Friends of the past were once again standing on the same stage and competing against each other. I'll wait and see. Duan Lingtian nodded. The first round ended. After resting for a short moment, the second round began. Qi Ming looked at Sword Young Master Qin Shao Shuai and continued. Now, it's the turn of the possessor of lot number 1 to issue a challenge. You can challenge any one of them. Qin Shao Shuai walked into the arena with large strides, and his gaze directly descended onto crazy young master Luo Zhan. Luo Zhan. Qin Shao Shuai's eyes emitted raging battle intent. Before last night, he hadn't broken through to the 4th level of the void-prying stage, and he knew that he was far from being a match for Luo Zhan. Today, he who'd broken through to the 4th level of the void-prying stage had the confidence to battle Luo Zhan. Of course, it was only confidence. The battle between Sword Young Master and Crazy Young Master was undoubtedly an extremely brilliant battle between dragons and tigers. Both of them were similarly one of the 5 great young masters. Similarly 4th level void-prying stage martial artists. Both of them had comprehended half-step advanced force. Their combat experience was almost the same. In the end, it was Crazy Young Master Luo Zhan, who relied on the advantage of the half-step advanced fire force that belonged to the force of nature that barely defeated Sword Young Master Qin Shao Shuai. Luo Zhan, once I comprehend advanced sword force, I'll surely defeat you. Even though Qin Shao Shuai lost at Luo Zhan's hands, he wasn't discouraged and instead spoke ruthlessly. Luo Zhan nodded when he heard this. Slight pressure appeared in his heart. As a sword cultivator, Qin Shao Shuai was extremely persistent towards the sword. In the past, Qin Shao Shuai's speed of comprehension towards sword force had far surpassed his speed of comprehension towards fire force. Qin Shao Shuai would most likely be able to comprehend advanced force before him. At that time, unless he'd comprehended advanced fire force as well. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be a match for Qin Shao Shuai. The possessor of lot number 2. After Luo Zhan obtained victory, Qi Ming looked at flame young master Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan entered the arena. Right at this moment, a wave of whispers sounded out, and it caused Zhang Yan's expression to be livid and unsightly to the extreme. This flame young master's strength is undoubtedly at the bottom amongst the six of them. He actually dares enter the arena now. Isn't he afraid of losing face? Exactly what third prince he really gives face to the imperial family? Chapter 558. Zhang Yan, the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's third prince. The flame young master of the 5 great young masters was ranked second. In the past he had gathered all the glory in his body. But today he had become the target of ridicule. Imperial father. Soon Zhang Yan saw it. His imperial father, the emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, didn't seem to have any feelings when he heard those words that ridiculed him. His face was calm, neither happy nor angry. Could it be that Imperial Father also thinks that I'm inferior to them? Are you looking down on me too? Zhang Yan's heart trembled as a bitter smile appeared on his face. Soon Zhang Yan's gaze became resolute. The current me is no longer the me of the past. Zhang Yan straightened his back, his gaze was like lightning, and his entire body was brimming with energy. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Zhang Yan's gaze focused on the purple-clothed youth in the distance. Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian? This Zhang Yan wants to challenge Duan Lingtian? Is he crazy? Even Saber Young Master, an existence at the 5th level of the Void Prying stage, lost at the hands of Duan Lingtian. He actually dares challenge Duan Lingtian? Oof. You're courting death. No one was optimistic about Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan was not swayed by the mocking voices around him. His gaze was incomparably resolute. He chose to challenge Duan Lingtian after a period of careful consideration. Presently the opponents he could choose were only Duan Lingtian, Su Li and Long Yun. The other two. Because he'd lost to Sword Young Master earlier, according to the rules he couldn't challenge Sword Young Master again. As for Crazy Young Master, he had just fought with Sword Young Master and could not challenge him in this round. Therefore he only had 3 choices left. Amongst these 3 choices, the one he was least willing to face was Su Li. Before today, this mysterious red-clothed young man had been completely unknown, but the strength he displayed just now was inexplicably shocking. Forget about his cultivation being at the 6th level of the Void Prying stage. In addition, he'd actually comprehended advanced sword force. Secondly, he wasn't willing to face the Saber Young Master Long Yun. He was ranked last among the 5 great young masters. In the past he really didn't take Long Yun seriously, let alone think that Long Yun would surpass him one day. But in the battle between Long Yun and Duan Lingtian earlier, he revealed a cultivation at the 5th level of the Void Prying stage and the half-step advanced saber force. Let him realize. The strength of this Saber Young Master Long Yun had already completely surpassed him. The current Long Yun was not someone he could match. Even if he had comprehended half-step advanced force, it was still impossible. Therefore he chose Duan Lingtian. Even though Duan Lingtian had once killed the Black Fiend Sect's 6th level Void Prying stage martial artist, Sun Rue, and defeated the 5th level Void Prying stage Saber Young Master Long Yun. However, during this process, Duan Lingtian did not defeat them with his own strength. Instead, he relied on that bizarre demonic technique. Demonic technique. I want to see if this Duan Lingtian's demonic technique can work on me. Zhang Yan's eyes sparkled. He'd chosen Duan Lingtian precisely because he had the mentality of being lucky. He felt that Duan Lingtian's demonic technique might not work on him. As far as he was concerned, if he were to go against Su Li and Long Yun, he would lose without a doubt. If he were to go against Duan Lingtian, perhaps he would have a trace of hope. Even though the hope wasn't great. But it was better than nothing. Whoosh. Duan Lingtian stepped out and stood in confrontation with Zhang Yan with a calm expression. Zhang Yan challenging him had exceeded his expectations. With a quick thought he guessed Zhang Yan's thoughts. Duan Lingtian, let me see. If that demonic technique of yours is really so bizarre. Zhang Yan shouted out with a grim voice, and his figure flashed like the wind as he flashed directly towards Duan Lingtian. In the sky, 6,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes dashed out with an imposing manner that shot into the sky like rainbows. Since you want to experience it, then I'll fulfill your wish. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed, and a dim light flashed within the depths of his gaze. 1,000 illusions. At this instant, Duan Lingtian utilized his soul skill once more. At the same time his feet moved. Whirlwind. He moved to the side. Under the gazes of everyone present, Zhang Yan pounced towards the place Duan Lingtian stood earlier and gave rise to a wave of piercingly cold howls of the wind. But Duan Lingtian had already left since long ago. Duan Lingtian die. Zhang Yan shouted out explosively as he pointed out with his finger, and an origin energy finger shot out. The surroundings of the origin energy finger was coiled with strands of blue-colored energy, and it was precisely the half-step advanced water force he'd just comprehended not long ago. In the sky above Zhang Yan, the strength of another 500 ancient mammoths had appeared beside the ancient mammoth silhouettes that were amplified by the Grade 5 spirit weapon. Everyone present was indescribably shocked. Flame Young Master has actually comprehended half-step advanced water force? When he fought Sword Young Master earlier, he only executed elementary water force. What's going on? Looks like Flame Young Master has just comprehended half-step advanced water force. In next to no time, everyone saw it again. Even though Zhang Yan had comprehended half-step advanced water force before Duan Lingtian, he was like a headless fly that bumped about everywhere. He was unable to touch Duan Lingtian in the slightest. Demonic technique. The pupils of most people couldn't help but constrict. It's time to end this. Duan Lingtian's gaze was cold and indifferent as his figure flashed like the wind, and he arrived behind Zhang Yan in the blink of an eye. Swoosh. His arm swung out like a violent python swinging its tail, and it moved menacingly. Bang. Duan Lingtian swung out his arm and smashed it right onto Zhang Yan's back, blasting Zhang Yan flying. Zhang Yan fell to the ground in a sorry state, and his face was covered in dirt and grime. When he recovered from his shock and saw Duan Lingtian, who was completely unharmed, his face went pale. No. Impossible. Impossible. Now Zhang Yan could understand the feelings of Sun Rui and Long Yun. Earlier he'd obviously heavily injured Duan Lingtian. But in the blink of an eye, an enormous force came from behind him and blasted him flying. Only now did he notice that everything from before was fake. It was all a dream. The possessor of lot number 3, Duan Lingtian, is victorious. Qi Ming announced. Where did Duan Lingtian learn this demonic technique from? It's truly shocking. Yeah, if I knew Duan Lingtian's demonic technique, then wouldn't I be able to do whatever I wanted? Duan Lingtian's demonic technique ought to have some sort of restriction. Otherwise, he'd probably have killed his way to the Azure Forest Trisect long ago to take revenge for the 7-Star Sword Sect. The surrounding crowd of spectators discussed animatedly. Squeak squeak, suddenly the little gold mouse that was sleeping on Duan Lingtian's shoulder had woken up, and she sized up the surroundings with interest. In next to no time, it was the turn of the possessor of lot number 4 to issue a challenge. The possessor of lot number 4, Long Yun. Long Yun's gaze locked onto Qin Shao Shuai. Sword Young Master. I admit defeat. Qin Shao Shuai wasn't surprised in the slightest when he saw Long Yun challenging him, and he shrugged as he spoke indifferently. Perhaps the past Long Yun wasn't a match for him. But the current Long Yun had already surpassed him. He knew his own limitations. Lot number 5. Along with Qi Ming speaking, Luo Zhan entered the arena. Luo Zhan had already fought Qin Shao Shuai, and he'd once admitted defeat before Duan Lingtian. Therefore he could only choose from 3 people. Luo Zhan's gaze flashed past Long Yun and Su Li before finally locking onto Zhang Yan. Flame Young Master. The gloominess on Zhang Yan's face was swept away when he was challenged by Luo Zhan, and he walked out in large strides. He knew. This battle was his chance to prove himself. Luo Zhan, I'll defeat you. Zhang Yan looked at Luo Zhan, and the battle intent in his eyes soared as he shouted out in a grim voice. That will depend on if you have the ability. Luo Zhan's expression became slightly serious, yet he wasn't courteous in the slightest. After he knew Zhang Yan had comprehended half-step advanced water force, he was more or less slightly afraid of Zhang Yan. Since the ancient times, water countered fire. This was an iron law. If it was elementary water force, then his half-step advanced fire force wouldn't be afraid. But half-step advanced water force just happened to be his nemesis. Fortunately, the amplification of the Grade 5 Spirit Spear Grandfather refined for me surpasses the Grade 5 Spirit Weapon in Zhang Yan's possession. Otherwise I might not be a match for Zhang Yan. Luo Zhan thought in his heart and felt slightly fortunate. He and Zhang Yan. In terms of age there wasn't much of a difference. In terms of combat experience they were on par. In terms of cultivation they were the same. In terms of force, because water countered fire, he was slightly inferior. In terms of spirit weapons he had the advantage. As you wish. Zhang Yan shouted out explosively as his figure shook like the wind, and the howling of the wind sounded out. Luo Zhan's gaze squinted as the origin energy beneath his feet raged, and he started moving as well. Luo Zhan, do you dare receive a finger strike of mine? Accompanied by Zhang Yan's figure that shook like the wind, Zhang Yan's voice sounded out abruptly, and it contained enormous confidence mixed within. Why wouldn't I dare? Luo Zhan stopped moving, the spirit spear in his hand became taut, and origin energy flowed on the spear as if it had transformed into numerous milky white little snakes. Whereas in the surroundings of these little snakes, there were strands of fiery red-colored energy that were ceaselessly leaping and roiling about. Half-step advanced fire force. Right at this moment, Zhang Yan's figure flashed out to charge towards Luo Zhan, and he pointed out with his finger. Swish. The finger force condensed from origin energy tore through the sky, and it carried along strands of raging blue-colored energy as it pointed towards Luo Zhan. Bring it on. Luo Zhan shouted out in shock, and the spirit spear in his hand abruptly stabbed out to accurately intercept Zhang Yan's origin energy finger force. Swoosh. The spirit spear struck out like a WRM leaving its lair, and its imposing manner shot into the sky like a rainbow. Bang. The spirit spear fiercely blasted onto the origin energy finger force, and it shattered the origin energy finger force. Whereas the origin energy and half-step advanced fire force on the spirit spear were completely exhausted because of this. Luo Zhan's hand that held the spear trembled, and his body trembled as he retreated 3 steps. On the other hand, Zhang Yan wasn't any better. He similarly retreated 3 steps and his face flushed slightly red. Again? Zhang Yan's gaze abruptly went cold and his figure flashed out. Swish, 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 swish. Numerous extremely swift origin energy finger forces were like the spikes that flew out from the body of a hedgehog, and they swept towards Luo Zhan. Luo Zhan stood with his spear held horizontally, and he was like an invincible god of war. When facing the numerous finger forces of Zhang Yan, Luo Zhan moved. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Every time the spear in Luo Zhan's hand flashed out, it seemed as if it possessed the assistance of the gods, and it accurately moved to intercept the numerous origin energy finger forces of Zhang Yan. Bang, 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 bang. Ear-piercing sounds of collision sounded out without end. In a short moment, Luo Zhan and Zhang Yan had exchanged over 100 moves. They were evenly matched and neither was superior. After this, Zhang Yan comprehended half-step advanced water force. He's actually able to fight Luo Zhan to a tie. Chapter 559. It wasn't only Duan Lingtian that was surprised, the others were surprised as well. I truly never imagined that Flame Young Master would comprehend half-step advanced water force in a hurry, and he's even able to fight Crazy Young Master to a tie. If the current Flame Young Master were to battle Sword Young Master, he might not lose. Yeah, the force Flame Young Master comprehended is the force of nature. Besides being able to increase one's attack, it's able to increase one's speed as well. Whereas Sword Young Master's sword force is instead only able to increase one's attack. The former's force possesses both attack and speed, whereas the latter's force is only able to increase one's attack. With Flame Young Master's current speed of fusing half-step advanced water force into his body, it's sufficient to be in an invincible position before Sword Young Master. Those people that ridiculed Zhang Yan earlier had now changed the topic to praise Zhang Yan. After a short moment, Zhang Yan and Luo Zhan exchanged another few tens of moves. They were still in a tie. In the end, Qi Ming said, "If this continues, then even if both of you exhaust your strengths, it would be difficult to determine a victor. This battle can be considered to be a tie." A tie. Luo Zhan and Zhang Yan frowned. Although they were unwilling, they knew that this was the best outcome. Both of them had no objections. Number 6. Subsequently, Qi Ming looked at Su Li. Su Li was the possessor of lot number 6. After Su Li left the arena, his gaze descended onto Qin Shao Shuai. Sword Young Master. I admit defeat. Qin Shao Shuai had a complicated gaze as he spoke frankly. When Su Li had just appeared, he still had the thought of competing with Su Li in his heart. But when he witnessed Su Li's true strength, he completely lost his temper. 6th level of the Void Prying stage. Advanced Sword Force. No matter which achievement it was all an achievement that was difficult for him to attain. Su Li's strength had exceeded his imagination. Perhaps only Duan Lingtian would be able to defeat Su Li if he utilized his demonic technique. Qin Shao Shuai thought in his heart as he looked at Duan Lingtian. as far as he was concerned. Even though Su Li was in existence at the 6th level of the void prying stage, it ought to be difficult for him to counterattack before Duan Lingtian's demonic technique. After all, the Black Fiend sect's Sun Rue was in existence at the 6th level of the void prying stage. He had also fallen under Duan Lingtian's witchcraft. Duan Lingtian's witchcraft was unpredictable and impossible to guard against. The second round came to an end. Next up was the third round. Owner of number 1 Qin Xiao Shuai. He had defeated Zhang Yin. Defeated by Luo Zhan. He admitted defeat in front of Long Yun and Su Li. Now he could only challenge Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian. Qin Xiao Shuai glanced at Duan Lingtian, then looked at Qi Ming. Vice Dean Qi, I'm not a match for Duan Lingtian. I admit defeat. Qi Ming nodded and then he announced. The owner of lot number 1 Qin Xiao Shuai has obtained a spot. Today's battle of the geniuses was mainly decided between the 6 of them. The rule was that as long as one won a battle, one would be able to obtain one of the slots. Qin Xiao Shuai had once defeated Zhang Yin and obtained a victory. Number 2. Qi Ming's gaze then landed on Zhang Yin. Whereas Zhang Yin could only choose Long Yun and Su Li. He chose Long Yun then admitted defeat. After that, it was Duan Lingtian's turn, the owner of lot number 3. Duan Lingtian's current accomplishments. Sword Young Master admitted defeat. Crazy Young Master admitted defeat. Flame Young Master lost. Saber Young Master lost. So, Duan Lingtian only had one choice left, Su Li. Whoosh. Before Duan Lingtian could speak, Su Li took a step forward and stood out. His gaze descended onto Duan Lingtian, and the corners of his mouth curled into a rare smile. Duan Lingdan, let me have a proper battle with you today. Su Li, you might not be a match for me. Duan Lingtian smiled. As far as he was concerned, since Su Li wasn't an inscription master, Su Li would surely be unable to resist the soul skill, 1000 illusions, executed by him with his 6th level void prying stage spiritual force. I just happen to want to experience your ability. Su Li's eyes had awe-inspiring battle intent as he spoke slowly. Duan Lingtian nodded. Instantly, a dim light flickered in the depths of his eyes. 1000 illusions. Instantly, Duan Lingtian's spiritual force fused into his soul brand, and he executed his soul skill. An illusory space constructed out of thin air enveloped Su Li within it. Right at this moment. Whoosh. Along with a sword appearing in Su Li's hand, origin energy raged and roiled on his body. At the same time, strands of a peerlessly sharp and fierce aura suffused out from the sword in his hand, advanced sword force. At this moment, Su Li's entire body seemed to have fused into one with the sword in his hand. The advanced sword force on his body shot into the sky. Right when Su Li took a step forward and intended to make a move, Duan Lingtian's expression abruptly went grim. Because he noticed that the illusory space had actually shattered into pieces. It shattered? Duan Lingtian was dumbstruck. Duan Lingtian had a dumbstruck expression when he saw the illusory space vanish without a trace. 1000 illusions. 1000 illusions. Subsequently, Duan Lingtian tested it a few more times, but the outcome was that the illusory space still shattered successively. Of course, the successive defeats allowed him to find the reason. Advanced force is actually able to counter my illusory space. Duan Lingtian gasped in his heart. This was a great discovery. My spiritual force isn't strong enough and is unable to go against advanced force. Perhaps only when my spiritual force advances a step further would I be able to resist this advanced force. Looks like not only is my soul skill, 1000 illusions, unable to deal with a 6th level void prying stage inscription master, it's similarly unable to deal with a 6th level void prying stage martial artist that has comprehended advanced force. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Duan Lingtian? Su Li noticed Duan Lingtian was slightly absent-minded, and he reminded. He wasn't willing to have an unfair advantage. Duan Lingtian returned to his senses when he heard Su Li's voice, and he smiled lightly. I admit defeat. As soon as he finished speaking, he directly left the arena under the numerous gazes of disbelief. Duan Lingtian admitted defeat? Why did he admit defeat? After all, even the Black Fiend sect's elder Sun Rue, in existence at the 6th level of the void prying stage, was killed by his demonic technique. A 6th level void prying stage martial artist ought to be unable to escape Duan Lingtian's demonic technique. Looks like it's Duan Lingtian who admitted defeat voluntarily. It ought to be so. The surrounding crowd of spectators thought that Duan Lingtian had admitted defeat voluntarily. After all, everyone present knew that Su Li was Duan Lingtian's friend, and it was even a friend that had a deep relationship with him. Duan Lingtian. Su Li frowned as he thought that Duan Lingtian intentionally let him win. Su Li, don't listen to their nonsense. If I had the confidence, it would be impossible for me not to battle you. Today, I indeed don't have the slightest confidence. Duan Lingtian looked at Su Li and shook his head as he spoke via voice transmission. But, perhaps I'm inferior to you today, but you might not be a match for me in the future. Duan Lingtian's eyes shot out bright lights. As far as he was concerned, so long as his spiritual force advanced a step further, the illusory space he executed would surely be able to resist Duan Lingtian's advanced force. I really look forward to it. Su Li nodded with a smile when he heard Duan Lingtian, and his eyes were filled with desire. Battle intent. Along with Duan Lingtian admitting defeat, the result of the Battle of Geniuses was soon out. Su Li won 5 battles and was ranked first. Duan Lingtian won 4 battles and lost 1 battle and was ranked second. Long Yun won 3 battles and lost 2 battles and was ranked third. Luo Zhan won 1 battle and tied 1 battle and lost 3 battles and was ranked fourth. Qin Shaoshui won 1 battle and lost 4 battles and was ranked fifth. Zhang Yin tied 1 battle and lost 4 battles and was ranked sixth. Imperial Father. Zhang Yin was extremely dissatisfied with this result, and he looked at the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom as he said, I want to battle that sword young master, Qin Shaoshui. The reason I lost to him earlier was because I hadn't comprehended half-step advanced water force. You mean you can defeat him now? The Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom glanced indifferently at Zhang Yin and asked. Yes. Zhang Yin had a confident expression. The gaze of the Emperor descended onto Qin Shaoshui. Sword young master, according to the rules of the genius competition, his request doesn't conform to the rules. Are you willing to agree to this request of his? If you're unwilling, then it's fine. For a time, the gazes of everyone present descended onto the sword young master. Most people felt that the sword young master, Qin Shaoshui, wouldn't agree to this unreasonable request. Only Duan Lingtian seemed to be lost in thought as he looked at Qin Shaoshui, who was deep in thought. I agree. Finally, Qin Shaoshui nodded. You agreed? Instantly, the surrounding spectators were dumbstruck. Is there something wrong with this sword young master's head? Many people were slightly speechless as they spoke. Ah, sword young master, you're finally like a man. Zhang Yin was slightly perturbed earlier, but now that he saw Qin Shaoshui agree, he instantly laughed loudly in excitement. As far as he was concerned, so long as he defeated the sword young master and trampled on him, he would be able to obtain 5 positions. One of the positions, whereas the sword young master would be eliminated. Flame young master. Qin Shaoshui looked at Zhang Yin and said indifferently, I can agree to your challenge, but I have a condition. If you agree, then I'll fight you. If you don't agree, then take it as I never agreed to it. What condition? Zhang Yin frowned as he asked. Qin Shaoshui said, the condition is, you can only obtain the position that belongs to me by defeating me. If you lose or if you fight me to a tie, then that position is still mine. I thought you would speak of some condition. I can agree to this condition. If I'm unable to defeat you, then I wouldn't have the face to occupy a position. Zhang Yin spoke as a matter of course, and his tone was filled with confidence. In next to no time, Qin Shaoshui and Zhang Yin started fighting. Qin Shaoshui seemed to have been prepared since long ago, and he stood on the spot without moving like a mountain. On the other hand, Zhang Yin instead utilized half-step advanced water force to execute his movement technique and flashed out. His speed was so swift that it wasn't something Qin Shaoshui could compare to. But in next to no time, Zhang Yin was dumbstruck. Because he noticed that from the beginning until the end, Qin Shaoshui had no intention of chasing after him. Gradually, Zhang Yin lost his patience. Swish. With a raise of his hand, Zhang Yin pointed out with his finger and flashed towards Qin Shaoshui, and a piercing howl abruptly sounded out. On the other hand, Qin Shaoshui had finally made a move. The sword light flashed like a bolt of lightning that was swift to the extreme, and it instantly caught up to Zhang Yan's origin energy finger force and shattered it. In terms of attack, because Qin Shaoshui had the advantage of a spirit weapon, he surpassed Zhang Yan. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.